2020 Sports with Mark Brain. Knicks fans embrace Patrick Ewing. Good morning. Mike Brain with Sports. Knicks beat the Washington Bullets last night at the Garden 85-73. The story of this game, how the fans would react to Ewing, would criticize those fans earlier in the week. But the fans greeted their hero warmly, chanting his nickname Mookie, Mookie, every time that he touched the ball. And Ewing responded with 15 points. Just another in a list of New York stars with the nickname Mookie, like Mookie Wilson and Mookie Mantle. And the fans certainly loved Ewing. The love from the fans reminded him of his college days.
I thought I was back at Georgetown.
It was a wonderful night for both the fans and their leader, Patrick Ewing.
That's great.
The boo of the night goes to Greg Popovich, the GM of the San Antonio Spurs, who yesterday fired Coach Bob Hill as the team got off to a 3-15 start. But the Spurs had to play those games without the injured David Robinson. So who does Popovich name as coach? Himself. And what a coincidence that he makes the move the very day Robinson returns to the lineup. But this story does have a happy ending. The Spurs lose by 17 to the lowly Phoenix Suns in Popovich's debut.
Good.
Game of the night from Cleveland, where the Cavs lost to the Miami Heat. Game one on a buzzer beater by Vashawn Leonard, who talked about what was going through his mind in the final seconds.
For 3 seconds, there's not too much you can do but try to penetrate and get to the hole and, look for the foul and try to get it up there and get it in the hole. So you got in the hole.
Vashawn.
Yeah, way to go. Vashawn. Clear it back.
Sure. A story in today's New York Post says Bill Parcells, staying in New England as coach of the Patriots, may end after the season, and Parcells is interested in coaching the New York Jets. According to the report, Parcells has already talked to friends about the Jets job. He's, of course, been unhappy with some of the organizational situations that have gone on with the Patriots in the past year.
Yeah.
And baseball, the Detroit Tigers and Houston Astros yesterday completed a 10-player trade. Whoever's doing the dealing for the Astros should be fired. Anyone who takes 5 players from the Tigers should be shot. The Tigers lost 109 games last year. Why would you want anyone from the Tigers?
Well, maybe the players will do better in a more positive environment.
There you go. Sure. You're such a positive guy, always looking for the bright side.
Up to 29 after the hour here in the Imus Morning program. And now, 31 after the hour. Bill Bennett reached
I dig rock and roll music.
rap lyrics.
I can do the twine and the church. I wear strictly continental suits and high collar shirts. I've got a reputation of being gentle but bold, and that's why they call me Imus in the morning.
It's that time of year again when we're treated to the traditional airings of holiday classics like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman. Unfortunately, it's also the time of year when we're forced to suffer through Christmas specials from the likes of Kathy Lee and Martha Stewart.
Well,
I hate to be the one to pee in the festive holiday punch bowl, but I can't figure out how Martha, who's emblematic of the white in White Christmas, fashioned a multi-million-dollar industry out of a glue gun and a cookie recipe. How does the white trash she's built her empire on, the ones who have to work 3 jobs to make the payment on the double wide, possibly find the time in their hideous existences to make holiday wreaths out of eggshells? Not that I wouldn't want to witness Susie Homemaker suck the yolk out of the eggs, but if you live a life that affords you the luxury of sitting down to do this kind of crap, you must be rich enough to pay other people to do it for you. I want to know who the talent coordinator is for these tedious things.
Well,
are we supposed to believe that Michael Jordan and Dennis Franz are the kinds of guests you'd find at your typical Connecticut Yuletide festivities?
Well,
either of these guys show up on some yuppie stoop in Westport, the lady of the house is going to assume they're with the caterers. And then, of course, as with every Christmas special, you have to have the obligatory puppet.
Yeah.
All Miss Piggy does for me is make me crave a BLT. Tedious.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 minutes into this thing, and I'm praying that Martha's going to teach me how to make and then hang myself with a festive popcorn string tree trimmer. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
It's highly irresponsible, especially at this time of year, when there's a pronounced increase in the suicide rate, to televise Kathy Lee doing anything. Joining that shrieking harpy and her obligatory puppet, Frank Gifford, singing carols with the Sweatshop Children's Choir is not my idea of a silent night.
No.
I mean, I think of these two, and the word Christmas doesn't exactly spring to mind. Forget the sugar plums. Nothing's danced in their heads for quite some time. but the last thing I want to do is spend the holidays with these two insipidly pretentious hair bags. They make me want to grab a pair of cuticle scissors and snip off my own eyelids. You just know that there's a Rabbi Rappaport sitting at home somewhere thinking, boy, am I glad I'm not a goy. I don't mean to be a Scrooge, but you can't be Kathy Lee and do a Christmas concert in Oklahoma City. I mean, haven't those people suffered enough? She hits a high note, and I'm thinking, where's Timothy McVeigh when you need him? Here's some fertilizer and fuel oil, Timmy. Merry Christmas.
Scott Minnie here in the Imus Winning Program, and now from Gillette, Wyoming, Mary on the I-line at 1-800-370. I'm yes. Stand by for news, and as always, the rest of the story. Well, Center Country citizen, don't know if you caught this one. Probably not. It's in one of those other side of the Hudson papers up east, thing called Newsday out of New York State. Got some major league players writing for it. One of them, in fact, is one of your republic's most admired opinion makers, a fellow by the name of Murray Kempton. Got an education the size of Asia, sounds like. And the other day, friends, he applied every last letter, every last degree, and every last particle of an until now distinguished career to the subject of Don Imus. You want an analogy?
Yeah.
Okay. Plato profiles Cato. May I bend your ear? Let me read you a snippet of what Mr. Kempton writes, trying to figure out what makes Imus tick. This is only 5 paragraphs in, listeners. His new virtues and his old vices, his temptations to conformity and his proddings toward rebellion, his teeterings between the self-disciplinedly trustful and the not yet quite containedly paranoid, have warred over his interior so long that he must be close to worn out with the company of their quarrels. Well, forget a vowel, Pat. May I buy a period? Page 2. Well, as I said, citizens, that above example of Murray Kempton on John Donald Imus was only paragraph 5. This little piece goes on like that for, well, let me see, some 34 paragraphs, if I'm counting right. And Einstein couldn't make heads or tails of it. My, Mr. Kempton, you've written of Don Imus as if he were Gandhi. All of this deep psychoanalytical spade-turning, the D.H. Lawrence references, Melville, Mencken, Twain. Mr. Kempton, for goodness sake, he's a disc jockey. You want to know what makes Don Imus tick? A limo ride to the studio. And a paycheck, yes, there is no God, that would make Steve Wynn weep. We don't need Thomas Wolfe. We need Tom Bodett. Mr. Kempton, he talks about his boner and has a brother who poses for pictures in a Santa hat carrying an Uzi with an arm draped around a blow-up rubber doll. Goodness gracious me, Mr. Kempton. He pees in phone booths. So what in heaven's name is with all the cerebral BS? What runaway rumination led you to write things like Imus's palpable incapacity to know himself could explain much of the mystery of his charm for an audience baffled like him in the pervasively all-American confusions and engagements with the inner being. Goodness me, Mr. Kempton, give the gray matter a rest.
Yeah.
There is no mystery.
No.
You are Aristotle, and you've interviewed an hole. And now you know the rest of the story. Paul Harvey, good day.
I'm into the morning news time. It's 8 minutes after the hour, and I was talking with Mike Wallachip. All right, here's the Smokin' Joe Kubek Band with Ben Joaquin. Poor Man's Christmas. Do it up, baby.
A poor man's Christmas is all I know. A poor man's Christmas is all I know. Now all I got is ice, the cold and the nice soft snow. A TV turkey dinner and a thin slice of pumpkin pie. Baby turkey dinner and a thin slice of pumpkin pie. It's all I got, baby, to keep me satisfied. Santa Claus don't have my number. He don't even know where I live. rocking, I'll just hang my head in shame. Got no place to hang my stocking, so I'll just hang my head in shame. Gonna spend a poor man Christmas when nobody knows my name.
Joe Kubek, man. San Joaquin. Oh, man, Christmas. That's what I'm talking about now. It is 18 after the hour in the yard. It's 18 after the hour. Where you is, baby? What you talking about now? Congressman Bill Richardson from New Mexico. Coming up.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I need fun. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Imus in the morning.
Mobile Fan Highway Patrol.
And now, Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports. Here's Mark Breen.
Here's Ewing down the left, double teamed outside of Johnson. Cross court right side. Houston for three. It's good.
Go ahead, blow it up. I just hate the Knicks.
But
I
you can't
tell
blow
you
up that victory.
Oh, man.
Knicks
I
overcome the Boos and the Bullets.
Wow, the Bullets.
Knicks
Oh,
defeat
man,
the
good
Bullets
one.
85-73 at the Garden.
Look out, Chicago.
Knicks leader Patrick Ewing booed by the fans every time he missed a shot. Fans responding to Ewing's comments early in the week that criticized the fans for lack of support. A reporter asked Ewing about it after the game.
Are you sorry about what you said at all?
I said I wasn't answering that question anymore. And no, I'm not sorry. That's it.
That's it. Here's what I wish. I wish I owned that team. That's what I wish.
Yeah.
There you go.
Smack that missing
Man, I
link
wish I had
upside
enough
his
money
head.
to buy one of these teams.
Yep.
I'm trying to put together a group, but so far my group only includes me. I know a bunch of people have a bunch of money, but they're not going to give it to me. If I could get Mike Lynn, get a bunch of his money.
Yeah.
Charles Koppelman, get a bunch of his money. He's got a lot of money, man. And the Andrews brothers get a couple of their clients.
Yeah.
And I could buy me a team, and then we'd see what his attitude was.
Mm-hmm.
Could I play?
Exciting game in Cleveland where the Cavs lost to the Miami Heat on a buzzer beater. Heat guard Tim Hardaway was asked to analyze the contest.
It was a tough ball game. I don't know.
An honest Tim Hardaway for the Miami Heat. Utah's won 15 in a row as they pounded the Pacers by 24 last night in Salt Lake City. Reggie Miller says the Jazz have so many weapons.
We double and triple team Carl and try to keep the balls out of Horny's hands.
The Horny Miller refers to as Jeff Hornacek, who received that nickname for his ability to play games with a full-fledged direction.
That will be fine. And I mean, how is that helpful?
Just stating the facts.
You're not
Not
stating anything. Now finish this drain pipe now.
College basketball last night. The Iman's wife's alma mater. With a victory on the road, they defeat Penn, Villanova.
Now, Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports with Mark Breen.
Back to midcourt. Gill running, filling the lane. Jason Williams is there. A 4-on-1. Williams finishes with a lay-in and smacks George Karl in the butt and heads the other way. A shocker at the Meadowlands. Good morning. Mike Breen with sports. Kevin Calabro with the call of the New Jersey Nets' victory over the Seattle Supersonics. Yes, you heard it right. Nets 110, Sonics 101. Our net reporter, Billy Taylor, filed this report.
Winning is good. Covering the net. I'm Billy Taylor.
Thank you, Billy. The mood,
You
meanwhile,
really are disgraceful.
You really are.
You're just good.
more reports later on. The mood in the locker room, a joyous one from the Nets. Jason Williams had his chest out.
This is one of the proudest wins I had as the New Jersey Nets.
My 3 wins as a Net, this is the proudest of them all. Also last night, Celtics in 3 overtimes beat the Raptors on a 3-pointer at the buzzer by Rick Fox. Chicago Bulls snapped their losing streak at 2, beat Minnesota at the United Center. They win without the Worm. Dennis Rodman, who was suspended 2 games, yesterday was the first.
Does he realize that it's over?
I don't think so.
I mean, that it doesn't get lamer than that. Okay.
He still thinks it's happening.
No, it's not. Well,
Steve Kerr was asked, what was it like to play without the Worm?
Well, it was awfully calm out there.
A little uneasy laughter from Mr. Kerr. Football news, fighting words between the Jets and Eagles. They play this Saturday at the Meadowlands. Philly quarterback Ty Detmer said earlier this week, if they lose to the Jets, they look like the biggest idiots in the world. So Jets defenseman lineman Hugh Douglas took exception.
For him to say something like that, I mean, that's just uncalled for. And if I get my chance to get to him, I'm gonna try to hurt him.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We tune in.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, why not? You're not there
cut
for the
him,
hurt
man. I cut his ass.
Yeah. A former Jet is also upset. Boomer Esiason. Earlier this week, Arizona coach Vince Tobin announced Boomer would not start Sunday against the Redskins at Kent Graham would. So yesterday, Boomer left the team, walked out, says he wants to be released. We'll have more on that a little bit later. And that's sports. I'm Mike Breen. 25 out the hour here in the Imus Morning.
My tears have stopped falling. The long, lonely nights are now at an end. The key to my heart you hold in your hand, and nothing else matters. We're together again.
Imus in the morning.
On the first day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, God grant me the serenity. On the second day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, one day at a time, and God grant me the serenity. On the third day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, keep it simple, stupid. You know, first I wondered how he knew that's what my brother called me, stupid, but turns out that's the actual deal. On the fourth day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, let go and let God. Now, the let go part, that don't mean, let one go. Take it from my experience. Oh, no, I missed it. On the fifth day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, happens, don't it ever? Let go and let God. Keep it simple, stupid, one day at a time. And God grant me the serenity. Oh, sorry, man, I drifted off there for a second. Hang on. I'm getting a little impatient, man. I can't do another 7 of these. I gotta skip to the end and work this deal backwards. On the 12th day of Christmas, my sponsor said to me, believe in a greater power, make your amends, turn it over, live and let live. First things first, don't quit, surrender, easy does it. Happens. Let go and let God, keep it simple, stupid, one day at a time. And God grant me the serenity. And God grant me the serenity. Hey, man, have a Merry Christmas.
Here now, Rush Limbaugh with apologies to Schmuck Owens.
Santa looked a lot like Bubba, or Bubba looked a lot like him. It's just the way I had him pictured, big and fat with a double chin. He didn't come down the chimney, so Mama must have snuck him in. Santa looked a lot like Bubba, operating with a pseudonym. He had an elf with him he called Vixen, who was dressed a little bit risque, in a pair of red fishnet stockings and a furry leather bustier. He said, how about a cup of eggnog, a little nip to make the Yuletide bright? Ain't gonna feel no pain this evening, because Santa Claus is coming tonight. Santa looked a lot like Bubba, and it hit me right where I live. Never thought that Kris Kringle was a liberal. I always hoped he was conservative. But he put the moves of my mama, and then stuck his head inside the fridge. Santa looked a lot like Bubba, and it was almost like a sacrilege. Well, they thought that I was fast asleepin' when I heard the nasty things he said. My image of Santa was cheapened when I saw him take my mom to bed. Santa put his arms around my mama, and Mama put her legs around him. So Santa Claus ain't
second.
Santa didn't look like Bubba. Eyes must have been deceiving me. Thought at first it was the other fat man, but now I'd have to disagree. 'Cause after I got a good look, it's pretty easy now to see. Santa don't look like Bubba. I guess it must have been a Hillary.
22 till the hour here in the imus Morning Program. Having Rush Limbaugh. This is a little Christmas blue, baby. Louis Jordan, I'll say.
Santa Claus, Santa Claus,
Yeah.
I'm in misery. Yeah, I'm in misery. Santa Claus, Santa Claus, I'm in misery. If you want to make me happy, bring my baby back to me. Santa Claus, Santa Claus, when you come this year, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, when you come this year, forget that high dramatic kitty car. I just want my baby here. I want you to tell your reindeer when you're on your way, please, please be extra careful. My baby's on your sleigh. Santa Claus, Santa Claus,
Well,
I'll see you Christmas Day. When you bring my baby, I'll bring her back to stay. Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, if you hear my plea, listen to me. Santa Claus, Santa Claus,
yeah.
if you hear my plea.
Come on, wrap this up.
When you make it down my chimney, leave her on my Christmas tree.
Louis Jordan here in the imus Morning Program. Santa Claus, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, Santa Claus,
I hear you.
please bring her back to me.
That ain't funky enough for me. Ain't no light. I need some light in the hopkins. I need, some low pulse and something like that. It's 19 till the hour here in the imus Morning Program. 8 days still left to call for with a blow-up rubber doll with an MSNBC hat on it.
Her mouth doesn't open.
Oh, come on, Fred. Jesus, God.
You know what her name is?
Now, what is her name, Fred?
Cokie.
Your radio sounds funny in the morning. You're listening to Imus in the morning.
From NBC Sports, Don Crinkey. Good morning, Don.
What I'm calling about, though, Imus, at this season is something to help all the wonderful Imus in the morning listeners around America. With the solicitors that come to the door so much.
Sure.
Now, you hear that doorbell ring and you peek out the little peephole. You don't open the door.
No, of course not.
You see it's a solicitor selling a household product or religion or the end of the world or whatever.
Sure.
So you just keep the door closed, let it ring a second time, then you say, yes, I'm home. I'm always home. Since I was fired down at the post office. I'll be right there, but I have to get something first.
Imus in the morning.
Don Crinkey.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Let me tell you about the latest offering from the
The dream
never got it right. Died in living color, lived in black and white. Faithful as a magnified, hung up on a song. She cried down to the breakfast nook, Lord, there's something wrong. Something wrong with the people. Something wrong with the people. Something wrong with the people. The people I believe is gone. Imus in the morning.
Program the national weather across the country. It will be every intern we get is some fat behemoth.
I think it's Francesca's family there.
I mean, can we hire an intern here who's not a big lard ass? Jesus.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
Maturing and growing. Yes, he is. Young David Cohen, maturing and growing. From a boy to a young man. From just a kid to a young man. And that's what he is right now. A young man. And that reminds me of a song.
Mike, please don't sing.
Young man, there's a place you can go. I said, young man, right on the go there to the YMCA. They will start you back on your way. Bum, bum.
Come on,
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
The top.
Good morning. Play sports with my daddy.
Barrows for three. Off the rim. Tipped in the air. Taken by Roger. To Fox at the buzzer. Celtics win. Celtics win. Rick Fox at the buzzer in triple overtime. Buries one from the left side, and the Celtics have pulled it out. Whoa!
Excitement at the Fleet Center. Good morning. Mike Brain with sports. Spencer Ross the call on WEEI in Boston. Celtics defeat the Raptors in overtime. Triple overtime, that is, by 2. But the surprise game of the night in the NBA, Seattle losing to the New Jersey Nets, happened at the Meadowlands, 110-101. Coach John Calipari had this to say after the victory.
Feels a lot better to win than lose.
Certainly does. As for losing coach George Karl, he took it well.
It's not going to be the only loss we have. I mean, we're going to lose other games.
Nice complacent attitude.
Who was that did the intro?
It's my daughter.
Let me hear it again. That's adorable. Let me hear it.
Well, this will be my son now.
Oh, they're on a same car.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear Michael.
Imus in the morning. 2020 sports with my daddy.
Well, that's cute. I love these.
I love them.
I've been trying to get you to get me these for months.
My kids hate you, though.
No, they don't hate me.
I had to pay them.
Let me hear Nicole again.
Imus in the morning. 2020 sports with my daddy.
Well, that's absolutely precious, isn't it?
I think he's want to hear that one again.
I love that. yeah.
Her name was Sheila. We used to go to Sunday school, and every day Sheila would say, "Do you want to come out and play?" And I'd say, "I'd love to, Sheila, but I can't, because your dad works for my dad." Your dad works for my dad. Your dad works for my dad. Your dad works for my dad. My dad.
Imus in the morning.
Carson Valley's 100.7 FM. Your at-work music station, still the one that's Orleans' great request at WHCV. And they do Billy Joel, tell them about it.
Imus in the morning, 20 sports with my daddy.
Douglas's three is good. Sherman Douglas has the shot clock wound down. Stuck a dagger in the Sonics' heart.
A big win for our Milwaukee Bucks. Good morning, Mike Brainwood Sports. Howard David the call on the Bucks Radio Network. They beat the Seattle Sonics 197. Second loss in as many nights for the now struggling Seattle Sonics. And their coach, George Karl, seemed to enjoy the team's struggle.
What I like about my locker room right now, there's a lot of pain in there.
Karl, a known masochist, getting enjoyment of his team losing.
Real good.
As for the Bucks, some shocking news. Perhaps Milwaukee fans should sit down before hearing this. Glenn Big Dog Robinson in the game had 7 assists, and he played defense several times in the second half.
You're kidding.
Shocking developments from Milwaukee. Also from the NBA, Utah Jazz winning streak ends at 15.
That's, something we should get. I think so. Go ahead, Mike.
Who beat them? The Phoenix Suns, of all people, in Salt Lake City, 95-87. How do you figure that? I'll tell you, the fix was in. Although I can't quite get it confirmed yet, apparently the Jazz threw the game for large sums of cash. The NBA is now investigating that particular contest. Also from the league, Knicks win their 5th in a row, defeated the Golden State Warriors with alarming ease last night at Madison Square Garden.
Shut up.
John Stark says teams better stay out of his house.
We want teams to fear the Garden. You know, they're glad to be in New York, but that's it. And when they step into the Garden, we want teams to know that, you know, victories is hard to come by here.
Please get out.
Starkey protecting his turf.
Starkey is a nitwit.
From baseball news.
Hey, Bubba, what are you doing? Signing another bill? Like, you don't have to now. You got reelected.
No, I'm checking out my Christmas list. Let's see, I got Roger a Buzz Lightyear.
He's already got a light buzz on all year. What about everybody else?
I'm going to send folks stuff out of the Fred Imus catalog. Got Jim and Susan McDougal and Auto Body Express calendar.
So they can check off the days until the pardon?
Yeah. At least that's what I'll tell them. I'll get Hillary one of them prairie-style buffalo skirts.
Here. If they fit a buffalo, they should fit her.
Well, they are one size fits all.
The way her legs looked in that picture from Australia, it'll probably fit her like a mini skirt.
Chelsea gets a four-legged Fred t-shirt.
But she might think Rush Limbaugh sent it to her.
Good point. I'll go with the denim vest instead. Sure looks good on Deirdre there, don't it? Boy, she makes my knees knock.
Careful, Bubba. You put moves on the eye woman, you can end up having to sit through another one of those speeches from hell.
Well, that's why I'm ordering all this stuff out of the ABX catalog, Beavis.
To get the eye man to lay off you a little bit?
No, to get the eye woman to lay on me a little bit.
On the first day of Christmas, Fred Imus sent to me 7-ounce cotton t-shirts, 62,370 stitches on the New Mexico and Texas jackets, 5 golden buffalo chips, 4 corner flannels, 3 bandana ties, 2 jars of hot stuff, and the blow-up doll from MSNBC.
Grab your balls like Michael Jackson, fa la 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 la, and some pelvic thrusting action, fa la 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 la. Don we now our leather jackets, fa la 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 la. If that's crowbar up and whack it, fa la 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 la. Imus in the morning.
Right here now on the Imus in the Morning program, my fat friend, Rush Limbaugh.
Vince Foster, the dead man, was a friend of Hillary's.
Shut up.
At the Rose Law Firm where she served a term, charging big outrageous fees. Foster, the dead man, turned up in the park one day. And D'Amato, well, he wants to know how Vince ended up that way. There must be something in those documents they never found, 'cause Maggie Williams shredded them and began the runaround. Now Foster, the dead man, knows the deal, but he can't say. Must investigate Whitewater Gate till we get the truth someday. Thumpity thump thump thumpity thump thump. What does Hillary know? Thumpity thump thump thumpity thump. Look at D'Amato go. Now Foster, the dead man, met a most untimely fate. And now Alphonse thinks that this whole thing's linked to vacation real estate. Senator D'Amato wants to know just what was what. And now he demands what was Foster's hand doing on Miss Clinton's butt. Will you please tell this committee just exactly what went down? Or when I'm finished up with you, 2 more bodies will be found. Then Bill and Hillary, they will have their judgment day. And they'll start to cry as they wave goodbye and the feds take them away. Hear that Hillary wail. On her way to jail. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where those treetops listen and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, then I am dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright. May all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and their children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May those days, may your days be merry and bright. And may all Christmases. Come on. The Drifters. Appreciated by Rush Limbaugh. On your average my program, it is 23 till the hour.
Well, I work on the radio.
How's that working out for you? Seriously, there's something going on down here in Arkansas you need to be aware of.
What is it?
Well, you know, Charles and Connie own a double wide down here.
Yeah.
There's a grassroots movement to get him to run for the Republican Senate seat out of Arkansas. In fact, we've got our bumper stickers printed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says Up Chuck in 96.
Your radio sounds funny in the morning. You're listening to Imus in the morning.
We're talking with Dick Cavett.
You do know the word Schadenfreude?
No, I do not.
It's a word the Germans have, but we don't, and it means the enjoyment of others' discomfort and agony. Why would the Germans have such a word?
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
I know what he's giving me for Christmas.
Series of rock and roll Christmas songs. First time I've played it this year, and I'm already sick of it. I know this is supposed to be the time of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, but I'm not feeling particularly Christmassy this year. They've had the decorations out in the stores since just after Columbus Day, and I was in the spirit right around Halloween. But now it hasn't even happened yet, and I can't wait for it to be over. Goodwill toward men? them. Why should I? What did they ever do for me?
Shut up.
I have no goodwill for someone who could care less if I have to end up shopping at the Goodwill for clothing and furniture. See, I'm not sure why I should have any more sympathy for humankind at this time of year than I do on the 4th of July. December rolls around, and right away I'm supposed to feel more predisposed to help Sally Struthers, who's on TV every 20 minutes, whining about the starving kids overseas. Well, maybe if she'd just skip a lunch every other week, none of these kids would ever be hungry again. I know that Christmas music is supposed to make me feel warm and fuzzy, but chestnuts roasting on an open fire only makes me want to hold my relatives' hands over it. The last thing I want to do is sit around with a bunch of formaldehyde-smelling old bitty ants drinking eggnog and opening brightly wrapped boxes of Old Spice. Who likes eggnog? Nobody. If it were any good, you could buy it all during the year. Besides, what the hell is nog anyway? How do I know it's just not another word for reindeer love ick? And of course, at this time of year, you can always look forward to 187 broadcasts of It's a Wonderful Life. Well, it's a hideous movie. Because you know what? Life sucks. And the only miracle on 34th Street is if you manage to get to Broadway without some homeless guy spitting on you. Now, I know with this Scrooge-like attitude, I run the risk of getting coal in my stocking from Santa. Well, to be honest, I'm a little sick of that bearded pedophile, too. I know fat people are supposed to be jolly, but nobody should be in that good a mood all the time. The guy's obviously a doper. Come on, he believes his fat ass gets hauled around the world by flying reindeer. I swear he comes anywhere near my apartment this year, I'm gonna shoot the bastard. Trespassing, fat man. Ho, 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 this. And so, although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, you.
Mr. Bernstein won the Pulitzer Prize and is a co-author with Bob Woodward of All the President's Men and The Final Days, accounts of the Watergate investigation and its aftermath. In 1992, Mr. Bernstein wrote an article for the New Republic magazine.
Good. You know about that. This is good. What can I say? I'm a hypocrite.
No. We read, we are in the process of creating in some, writes Mr. Bernstein, what deserves to be called the idiot culture. For the first time in our history, the weird and the stupid and the coarse are becoming our cultural norm. So here's my question. Which one was I, the weird, the stupid, and the coarse, or all three?
Depends on what day of the week.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
How were you able to find out all of this information about the Pope?
We were able to get to the people closest to him. One of the things this book does is, unlike my earlier books, this has footnotes. It says where the information comes from.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Baltimore wasteland like a baboon searching his sibling for dead skin. The Dean of Broadcast Journalists, veteran newsman Walter Cronkite.
And speaking of dead skin, return with me now to the summer of 1995 and the made-in-Hades marriage of two titans of the entertainment industry, Michael Eisner and Michael Ovitz, doomed dalliance at Disney. For the inevitable is now occurring. Power broker Ovitz, number 2 at Walt Disney Company for barely a year, has gotten down the throat of power broker Eisner, Disney's number 1. To the point that he's triggered the genial Disney chairman's gag reflex and is about to be expelled like a chicken bone. Yes, in the opinion of this reviled old rehasher of redundancy, it doesn't require a cryptographer to sort this one out. There is room for but one giant, overinflated, Macy's balloon-sized ego at the top of Cinderella's castle. 2 won't fit. Number 1 beats number 2 every time. So, in short, Mr. Ovitz, just get out. One wonders how two individuals who loathed each other from the second the ink was dry on their contract agreement ever got together in the first place. Ovitz's management style, patterned after that of a postal worker short on patience and long on ammo, clashed immediately with Disney's corporate structure. He antagonized everybody, but none more than Mr. Eisner. Never was it more apparent than in their recent appearance on the Larry King Moving Mouth program, where the two sought to dispel rumors of mutual loathing, but displayed the body language you might expect if O.J. Simpson suddenly showed up at the communion rail next to Judith Brown. Or former Disney Studios chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, come to think about it, glanced up from the DreamWorks men's room urinal and found Eisner standing next to him. Now there is true, immutable, rooted in granite, soul-satisfying hate. What next for Mr. Ovitz post-Disney? No small potatoes here. Nothing less than Sony Corporation of America. The presidency, thank you. Or whatever remains of the Sony Corporation of America after former President Michael Shuloff, his minion Peter Gruber, left the place $3.2 billion light in the wake of their savvy Hollywood investment decisions. If Ovitz does depart for Sony's Oval Office, and those talks are ongoing, his will be just the latest in a string of top-level Disney farewells. Stephen Bollenbach, who said, take this job and shove it, after 18 months as chief financial officer. The aforementioned Mr. Katzenberg, who said, stuff it, after his bitter battle with Eisner, and who was passed over when Mr. Eisner's previous number two, Frank Wells, was killed in a tragic helicopter crash. In fact, the carnage at the Mouse House reminds this old, beloved bedeviler of demons of the carnage at the White House. The only guy left standing is the president, with everybody else either in flight, indicted, in jail, or in the ground. One final note as we ponder presidencies, corporative and corruptionist. Senior White House advisor George Stephanopoulos to ABC News as a contributing correspondent. What next, Roone Arledge? Ted Kaczynski in charge of the mailroom? For Media Watch, this is Walter Cronkite. Thank you and good night.
Is Mrs. Powell's problem with depression a valid news story? That question's being bandied back and forth.
What is your feeling?
I doubt that it has tremendous relevance to a Powell candidacy, the fact that his wife has managed well on medication for clinical depression.
So far.
Yes, so far. I guess this one way you could look at it, Bernard.
Be walking around the White House in her panties on the front lawn.
No, I don't.
On a Sunday morning.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
And we just got word that Jeff Greenfield.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
Greenberg is going on Lorne.
And his brother Greenfield, too.
Greenfield, I mean.
Greenstein.
Greenstein. Well, you know.
That's good on the day where Pete got shot.
Shlomo.
Stop it. Oh, Jaime's going to be... Stop it. Now, just stop it.
That's not necessary.
Let's just stop now.
The I-Man misspoke himself. Jeff Greenfield.
Who is he going to be anyway?
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Imus in the morning, 2020 sports with my daddy.
Right and left to the head, a left to the jaw, a right to the head, right to the body, a left hook to the jaw. The men are in the ring. The fight is over on a technical knockout.
Bo Galata set to rumble. Good morning, Mike Brainwood Sports. Heavyweight bout tomorrow night from Atlantic City. Riddick Bowe's rematch with Andrew Galata. Galata was beating Bowe's brains in the first fight, but was disqualified for low blows.
Well, Riddick was out of shape for that fight and didn't take Mr. Galata seriously.
Well, he's trimmed for this fight. Weighed in yesterday at 235, lightest he's been in 4 years.
Yeah.
And Bowe says Galata better be ready.
We're going to see exactly what he's made of. Let's see how Galata feels when he's in the 6th or 7th round and somebody's right in front of him banging on him. And you know, he's tired, his nose is bleeding, mouth sore, and things of that nature. We want to I can see if Galata can do what he did last time when he's fighting someone who's in shape and not taking him lightly.
Yeah. Sounds stoned.
Does he have Parkinson's disease, too?
my brother from another mother, right, Bernie?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you wrinkle up old schmuck.
It's 24 after the hour. Come on, Bernie.
NBA last night, surprise of the evening in Utah, where the Jazz winning streak ends at 15. Even more shocking than they're losing on the home floor. Who they lost to? The Phoenix Suns.
Whoa.
Inexplicably beat them 95-87.
The coach promised to take the Suns out to Boston Chicken afterwards.
Yeah. That's great, Bernie. Thank you for that input.
That was enlightening.
It's great.
Got to motivate
Thank
the
you.
troops, man.
That's great. No, that's great. Thank you for that input.
Did they win?
Please have a aneurysm.
And watermelon afterwards,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. How about a couple of watermelon
Now,
jokes,
come on.
Bernie?
Now you're going over the line a little bit.
Mike continues.
A very angry Jazz coach Jerry Sloan didn't have any answers.
Try and figure this one out.
A shocking loss for the Utah Jazz. Also last night, Wings. Knicks win their 5th in a row. They beat Chris Mullin and the Warriors at the Garden. The Pistons winning streak ends at 5. They lose to the Rockets in Houston. Pistons forward Grant Long says playing on the road is difficult.
We live as we dream, alone. We're on the road alone. You have to go out and play. You're here, you might as well play.
There's a thinking man's player.
Right, paying that guy about $3 million a year for that attitude.
How about paying a guy $5 million a year in baseball? That's what Moises Alou is going to get from the Marlins. Moises leaving his dad, who's the manager of the Expos, Felipe. Moises says Marlin fans will get their money's worth.
I'm going to give you guys 100% every day.
every day that I'm going to go out there, I mean, I'm going to play my best, and I think that you guys going to enjoy my game, and the team's going to do good.
Well, you can't ask for more now.
He's going to give 100%.
Well, you can't ask for more
There's
now.
the attitude.
No, that's the attitude we all these morons should have.
Sure.
25 after the hour in the yard. Dr. Georgia Whitkin, Dr. Bo Deedle, and Professor Fred Imus are all coming out. The people.
Rich Cimini and Mark Cannizzaro of the Post and the News, respectively. Jake Plummer, as well, the ASU quarterback, in town for the Heisman. He won't win it in the middle of it. We'll come back in a sec. Stick with us.
Sports Radio 66. The Fan, WFAN.
College basketball, number 4 Villanova, still undefeated. The Wildcats 6-0 after beating Penn 89-62. Many Villanova alums at the game, including Deidre Coleman, the wife of Don Imus. Ms. Coleman, in a halftime interview, said it was love at first sight with the I-Man. She even remembers her first words to the I-Man.
Grandpa, can I marry you?
And the rest, of course, is history.
Oh, yeah, baby. Look at my candy cane fries, you little Donkey Kong.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
All right, what about the I-Bears?
The I-Bears are good. Call them Vermont teddy bear people. I wouldn't. Here's the thing. If we were going to do a teddy bear, I wouldn't do it except with them.
The I-Bear come with a wrinkle up old butt on it?
No, but we have one where we pull all the hair out. The Bernard McGirt bear.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning.
Imus in the morning on the Fan. Sports Radio 66. WFAN.
WFAN New York, an Infinity broadcasting station. WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good morning at 10 o'clock.
Snap is good. Hold is good. Kick is up. Long enough. And good. Call it over. Boots it through. And the game's over. Redskins die in Arizona. Good morning. Mike Brain with sports. Frank Herzog with a call on WJFK in Washington. This sportscast sponsored by your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer. The Washington Redskins eliminated from postseason play. 27-26 loss to the Cardinals in Arizona yesterday on that last-second field goal does the trick. This is a team that started 7-1 and 1-6 since then. Quarterback Gus Frerotte had this to say after the devastating loss.
The thing I want to remember is the way I felt, at the end of the game out there when we're so close to going to the playoffs, and first time ever for me. And when you're out there competing your butt off and the other team's competing to stop you.
There's your problem, a sensitive quarterback who sounds like a flamer. Actually, the defense is what hurt the Redskins, again, out of the playoffs. While the Redskins drop out, Minnesota Vikings are in. They beat Tampa Bay 21-10 to clinch the wild card. And also, with the Redskins' loss, the Eagles clinched the wild card. So the NFC has its 6 teams for the playoffs. Dallas, Green Bay winning their divisions. San Francisco and Carolina still fighting for the NFC Central, although both already in the playoffs. For the AFC, New England, Pittsburgh, and of course Denver are all in. 3 spots still open. The teams are battling. Kansas.
Here's another annoying, hideously annoying Christmas blues song. This is Roy Melton. We're going to listen to as much of it as we can stand, and then we'll blow it up.
Well, it's Christmas time, and my baby is so far away. Yes, it's Christmas time, and my baby is so far away.
think so.
No.
About 2 minutes of Roy Melton, Christmas Time Blues, and that's the end of it.
2 minutes hit the tolerance level.
You can't stand it. So off this Blue Yule album, we have Light and Hopkins, Merry Christmas. I love that.
Yeah.
Canned Heat, that's okay, Christmas Blues. That's about it. John Lee Hooker Blues for Christmas.
Yeah.
And Light and Hopkins, Happy New Year. And that's about it. And the rest of them is just too hideous.
The rest of them are blow-up material.
Yeah. If you Count Basie. We don't want Count Basie. We want the blues. Don't we?
90 seconds to 2 minutes and hit the button.
Yeah, and then that's basically it. Just get them out of here. So speaking of Barnacle and Tim Russert will both be... All right, here now with observation and comment on headline issues of the day. From the hood, Imus in Washington, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Snoop Doggy Claus, and I'm good to go. I'm fat and I'm jolly and I got plenty of snow. Know what I'm saying? Well, it's Christmas time in the hood, time of getting a spirit of peace on earth, goodwill toward all white men. Another year gone, and the brothers ain't any further along in the struggle than we've been before. So I don't want no fat dude coming down my chimney unless he got my civil rights in that bag of his. How come this boy be busting people's houses all over the world, but ain't nobody never nailed him for breaking and entering? Why is Santa Claus white? Why can't he be black? Instead of cruising in a Slade, have a hoopty Cadillac. I guess if a brother was in your house holding a sack, you'd wait till he turned around so you could shoot him in the back. What's my name? Oh, dear, you shot Santa. It was self-defense, Margaret. Here, quick, put this gun in his hand. Ho, ho, ho. Yo, yo, yo. Got a little gift for all of you dudes in Texaco. To show you Snoop Doggy Claus know what Christmas means, I'm filling up your stockings with black jelly beans. What's my name? Snoop Doggy Claus. Oh, yeah, those are jelly beans, don't mind that rabbit that just crawled out of there. A benevolent Christmas is what I'm dreaming of, full of harmony, peace, brotherhood, and one love. So this holiday season, as you raise in your glass, be thankful Santa doesn't bust a cap in your ass. What's my name? Snoop Doggy. Remember the reason for the season. Snoop Doggy. And that Jesus started out poor, homeless, and discriminated. You know, they was dissing him too. Peace.
Snoop on the Imus in the Morning program, 19 till the hour. Now here is the Christmas song, baby. Light and Hopkins. Sing you a song there, son.
Merry Christmas now, baby. Now, darling, ain't you glad to be home? Merry Christmas now, baby. Darling, ain't you glad to be home? Yeah, we're gonna take our Christmas for ourselves, so we'll know there is nothing wrong. Hang up your stocking. Oh, Santa Claus gonna come to you. Hang up your stocking, do you know? Oh, Santa Claus gonna come to you. I'm gonna buy you something pretty, let him bring. Tell me what else is you gonna do? I know you're gonna be sweet, darling. Come round. little woman. She coming home on Christmas Day.
Good morning, Andre.
Yeah, I got a little something for you. Check this out.
Here, something for you, too.
I want to do Broadway, no being shy, man. Lord of all media, I'll roll with the eye, man. One lung beat, testes, pedophile like Presley. The sisters even love him like Denzel or Wesley. Did you really kiss a man? Is it a goof? Or the truth is the proof? Did you tinkle inside the phone booth?
If your radio light sucks in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the Morning.
Lean with the sports and Lou on the board. The staff is going to party when Didra pull the cord, yo. We'll all be salsa. Bernie's head will shave, four-legged Fred will pee on the Iron Man's grave. Fuji will freeze frame. Vermont Teddy insane. Cokie Roberts so dumb she can't even count to 11. Or dial 1-800-272-1957.
Hey, man, brother from another
Way to go,
mother.
money.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be.
Imus in the morning.
Past performance of Mutual Fund.
Here we go. God. Do you have any response here, Warner? There's not much.
It's not worth responding to.
It's not really worth
How do you respond to
Just the
that?
ramblings of a man.
ramblings of somebody who potentially could be the Unabomber out there in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
I got a copy of the Unabomber's Manifesto I'm going to read this weekend.
My brother downloaded from the internet the Unabomber's Manifesto.
In its
Shocking.
entirety.
See if you can find something funny on it and get back to it.
If your radio light sucks in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the Morning.
We're talking with Senator Christopher Dodd. You may be surprised, but I'm on the same page with you. Well, this Whitewater Committee is just absurd.
Isn't it crazy?
I'm a big fan of Aldamado's, as you know, but I mean, come on here.
Enough's enough. That's what I've been saying to Al. I don't think Al wants to do this anymore. Even Al's tired of this. Al can't understand how a guy in power could actually lose money on a deal like this. That's what's really driven crazy on this whole thing. So,
Glad I didn't say that.
no.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
What are you giving me for Christmas? 1-800-MY-TIMES. I'm Lori McNichol for the Bell Atlantic NYNEX Mobile Fan Highway Patrol.
Imus in the morning. 20 sports with my daddy.
The Washington Redskins are dead.
Well,
Good morning, Mike Breen with sports. After starting the season 7-1, the surprise of the NFL, yesterday the Redskins eliminated from postseason competition.
what happened there? Injuries?
No, defense was horrible. 27-26 loss to the Cardinals in Arizona does it. Coach Norv Turner couldn't believe they were knocked out of the playoffs on a field goal that nearly missed.
Game inches, boy. It's a game inches.
While the Redskins lose, the Eagles clinch a wild card, as does Minnesota, who beat Tampa Bay.
That's a suicide hotline situation there. At least on suicide watch. You bet.
The New York Jets have clinched the #1 pick in the draft for the second year in a row. Jets assured themselves of the worst record in the league by virtue of the Saints' win over the Giants yesterday. New Orleans' third win of the year, 17-3 final at the Meadowlands. Coach Dan Reeves of the Giants asked to evaluate his team's performance.
We were really, really bad.
Guess that pretty much sums it up for the season.
There you go, Huckleberry Hound.
Suddenly he really does sound stupid, doesn't he? One of those deals.
And you certainly have to feel bad for Al Davis and the Oakland Raiders. They lose to the Broncos in Denver and thus eliminated from postseason play again. At least they went out with their heads held high. 20 penalties in the game once again for the Raiders, a first-class team. From the NBA, Washington Bullets, led by Jawan, defeated Latrell and the Golden State Warriors 110-102 in San Jose. The game started a 6-game road trip for the Bullets. Juwan Howard talked about how that 6-game trip is going.
Right now, we got one so far, and we got 5 more to go.
Juwan, a math major at Michigan.
That will be fine.
Actually, he's the only player ever to leave college early for the NBA and already have his degree. That's true.
Oh, it is?
We salute Juwan Howard.
Oh, good for him.
That's sports. I'm Mike Breen.
I'm a victim of life circumstances.
Albert?
I've raised around barrooms, riding out dancing, singing them old country songs. Yeah, half the time ending up someplace I don't belong. Imus in the morning.
I'm having
having dinner with Delbert tonight.
Are you honest to God?
Yeah.
All right.
In the morning, I take breakfast with my daddy.
And Marino on third down plays has completed 9 of 11 passes, 6 for first downs.
It's a big play for the Buffalo Bills right here.
McDuffie in motion. Marino back to throw. Drills it over the middle. Caught. Touchdown. Touchdown. O.J. McDuffie. Buffalo Bills fail to clinch. Good morning. Mike Greenwood Sports. Howard David the call. Dolphins beat the Bills in Miami 16-14. So the Bills still have work to do to make the playoffs. Quarterback Jim Kelly was asked about their play.
All I know is we've played 15 games. We're 9-6 or 9, whatever the record is.
That's right, Jim. 9-6 equals 15. They'll try and play their 16th game next week against the Kansas City Chiefs and get a victory to get in the playoffs. While the Bills still have hopes for the playoffs, the New York Jets have hopes for getting a quality player with the #1 pick in the draft for the second year in a row. Coach Rich Kotite spoke yesterday about the team.
What are you having, a Pat O'Brien moment here, a stroke?
He spoke
come on, baby.
about the team's 1-14 season.
The biggest question I ask myself a question every week. It's been kind of easy answers all year. Did they do it to you, or did you do it to yourself?
That's the question he asked this particular week.
Will he be here next year?
No.
Oh, okay. How about Dan Ray? Is he going to get fired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jets finish at home against Miami next week. College football, the University of Pittsburgh has a new head football coach. It's Walt Harris, a former assistant with the likes of Ohio State and Tennessee. Harris talked about what kind of team he'll have.
We want to play a very similar way, hard-nosed, tough football. We won't talk about wins and losses because sometimes we don't control all those.
Have no control over wins and losses. Well, they're going to love this guy. NBA revenge for Milwaukee coach Chris Ford.
Here at the radio station, because after we're on, then they have morons take calls from other idiots about sports, and the all-night guy, Joe Benigno, what's his name?
Beningo.
I like him. He's a nice kid, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
There's nothing he doesn't know about sports. I mean, it's frightening.
Encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not an exaggeration.
I said, who did Lance Renzo play for other than the Rams? He said, well, he played with the Dallas Cowboys for him. I mean, it's just not, I mean, maybe that's an easy question. I guess it is, but...
Yeah, but he knows dates.
It's just talked about some ice bowl they played in. I don't know what the hell they were talking about.
Jocks they all wear.
Anyway, Bernard calls them and makes their life miserable. And it's always a minute or so before they catch on.
Antoine in the Bronx. Antoine, how are you?
Hey, yo, Joe Benigno, man. What's up, man?
What's up, baby?
Long time listener, man. Yo, turn the radio down on the air, man. What's up, yo? Joe, man, I've been listening a long time, man.
You sound very wired up there, Antoine.
I like your act, man. I like your act, man. Ain't no Steve Summers, but it's all right. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it.
Yo, thank God for Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason and my boys. You know, I'm happy about that. You know what I'm saying?
What are they going to do against the Bulls, Antoine?
Yeah, they going to win is what they going to do.
You think so?
Yeah, but you know why I'm upset, man?
Why are you upset?
Yo, in the melting pot here we call New York, we can't get a black coach, man. They talking about Larry Brown and Mike Fratello and Jeff Van Gundy. Why they can't get a black coach for the Knicks, man?
Wait, slow down a minute, Antoine.
Can't get no black coaches, no black quarterbacks, no black pitchers, no black nothing, man. What's up with that?
Well, let me ask you a question. All right, what's wrong with Van Gundy as a coach? I mean,
he's right, man.
He's a good coach.
You got to get a brother in there for the big brothers. You know what I'm saying? Don't cut me off because I'm black. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to cut you off because you're black?
Well, I don't think you're speaking on that issue. You know what I'm saying? For all I know, you could be talking like Bob Grant with your savages and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so, but I'm just saying, don't cut me off because of that reason.
Let me say, Antoine, if John Thompson came here and coached this team, and if he's going to lead the Knicks to a championship, I mean, I don't care. I don't care who's coaching the Knicks.
You know,
I don't care.
I hear you talking a lot of hockey.
I want to win.
I hear you speaking on a lot of hockey issues, too. You know what I'm saying? I don't like hockey. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's your prerogative.
You know, because in hockey, the only thing black is the puck, and they be smacking that around, man. What's up with that? You know what I'm saying, man?
You know, Antoine, I have no problem. Like I said, anybody coaching the Knicks as long as they win. I think, though, Jeff Van Gundy's done a very good job, and there's no reason why he shouldn't come back.
Hey, why they can't give a brother a chance at FAN like my man Bill Daughtry? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, that's not for me to answer.
You know what I'm saying? You hearing me, bitch, man?
All right, Antoine, you take
care. Yo, man, can I come down and co-host the show with you, man?
Antoine.
I live 5 blocks down, man, Long Island City, man. I know right where it's at.
You do, huh?
Yeah. I want to come down and co-host, man.
Antoine.
All right?
We'll see you, Antoine.
Yeah, what time?
We'll see you, baby.
What time, man?
We'll see you.
What time, bitch?
We shall see you, Antoine.
What you talking about, man? You gonna cut me off now because I'm a black man, right?
Antoine, I am
just
not cutting you off.
Like I knew you was gonna do that, man.
Antoine, I am not cutting you off.
And what they gonna do? And for the Nets, they gonna hire. Who they gonna hire?
It's not cutting off.
Another white
Antoine.
boy. A paisan, for that matter. You know what I'm saying?
Antoine, you will say goodbye to me now.
Hey, Mavis.
How do you spell plausible deniability?
You should never use a humongous word where a diminutive one will suffice. What are you doing, Bubba?
Writing my inaugural address.
What's it going to be about this time?
No, I don't know. I'm not finished with it yet. But one thing I can tell you, I may wear briefs, but this speech sure ain't gonna be.
That sucks. How long's it going to take?
Well, I want there to be enough time for me to review my record.
But you don't have a record. Not yet, at least.
Not criminal record, Beavis. I mean my record of achievement.
Oh, so it'll be a short speech after all.
I want to set out guideposts for the future and try to forge a sense of unity out of our nation's diversity.
So basically, now that you're in for another 4 years and don't have to worry about re-election, you're going to do whatever the hell you want.
You got it. In the meantime, I'm going to catch up on some of my reading. You know, my favorite book of '96 was E.J. Dionne's They Only Look Dead.
What was that about? Don Imus?
No, the Democratic Party. If it was about Imus, it'd be called I Only Wish He Was Dead. I'll show him go, baby. This year, I'm going to have Howard Stern at a correspondence dinner.
To get back at Imus?
No, to spank some big-breasted bimbos. No.
Yeah, and you can spank your monkey.
You leave Hillary out of this, you little moron.
31. After the hour, New York. I hear that.
Like a fool, I went and stayed too long. I'm wondering if your love's still strong. Ooh, baby, I'm still delivered from yours. Imus in the morning.
Jesus, are you paying any attention in there?
On the fourth day of Christmas, Lou returned the compliment. No, on the fifth day of Christmas, all hell breaks loose.
Who the hell cares? Look, press the goddamn button. Don't be calling me. What's the problem in that?
On the sixth day of Christmas, I'm in Braxton Bay.
Not as big as the one in my...
On the seventh day of Christmas, the IMAX is around. I'm gonna take this hand and shove it right into your arm. The 8th day of Christmas, the IMAX said to me, let now Christmas starts to all of the people I know. On the 9th day of Christmas, Emma says to me,
there's 500 names in here, and I'm supposed to get these cards out by 10?
On the 10th day of Christmas, the IMAX says to breathe. You pencil that key, give me some yuck so you're out of here. It's the 11th day of Christmas, the IMAX compliment to Bernie.
Good work. Good work. Good work, Bernie.
Shut up, you jerk.
On the 12th day of Christmas, the IMAX said to me.
Tell you one thing I'd do, I'd come in there and take you two white boys and knock your pointy little heads together. That's what I'd do.
Come on, brother. The IMAX said to me.
So you get that, baby, and have a Merry Xmas. Stop interrupting me when I'm talking.
Easy there, big guy.
Well, no, but I mean, now see, pick a time to talk. Now, what caused that? What caused that? Well, because that's not the first time it's happened this morning, and so it irritates me.
I look at it like you're talking when I'm talking.
Very annoying. Imus, this ain't your mother's morning show. We all know that I'm exhausted. You're crazy. Well, we all know that. You are a lunatic.
That's a good excuse. Why couldn't you be in that train right now?
Why can't you be one of these three guys that are juicing out in Arkansas?
I might beat one of those guys sometime in the future. And guess why?
In the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
We have a lot of fun together. When we were at Nobody Beats the Wiz, she took me by the hand and said, Daddy, over here. We first went there because they have an amazing selection of computers. Her grades have gone up, and I look like a hero. The Hewlett-Packard printer is on sale for $298.98. Great price.
Deserving segment of America's media organ. by the Dean of Electronic Journalists, Walter Cronkite.
Return with me now to a rapidly receding date of some 15 years ago, 1981, and the retirement from the anchor desk of fabled, legendary master telecaster Walter Cronkite, and the beginning of a transition of the much-beloved figure from anchorman to pariah man. How is one able to tell when it is indeed over, when one is so irretrievably washed up that no amount of rehabilitation or heroic life-saving measures will help? When one is reduced to appearing on NBC's Dateline show to sob on the empty suit of Stone Phillips, that's when. And yet, that is precisely where I was, spilling my guts to a blow-dried rookie who looks to be better suited to a Calvin Klein underwear ad, on an upstart news magazine program whose biggest scoop was admitting it loaded a pickup truck fuel tank hazard story through the clever means of dynamiting the trucks. But it's not NBC that troubles me so deeply this evening. No, it is my own alma mater, CBS, a company that stands on my broad shoulders, yet has chosen to kick me in my bulbous butt. Speaking of that, if I may, did you happen to see the photograph of President and First Lady Clinton in the Newsweekly Time magazine, clad in shorts? Yeah. You tell me we're not saving the manatees. Jesus. But I digress.
Yes, you do.
A headline regarding what has befallen me, as it might appear in the media publication Variety. Web weasels want Walter wasted.
Yeah.
Yes, as incomprehensible as it sounds, Walter Cronkite, a legend, a giant, has become anathema at CBS. Disinvited from parties, shunned at news division functions, and gazed upon in the newsroom itself like the slightly dotty elderly uncle who's just wandered in with an unidentified clinging object in his mustache and is fly again. Am I hurt? Indeed I am. As they might ask on Jeopardy, these two names are first to leap to mind when one mentions CBS News. The answer, Alex, who are Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite? No, the names that first come to mind are not those of Phil Jones and Rita Braver. Two names that first leap to mind when the conversation turns to which network news correspondents have their noses buried deepest in the Clinton administration's plumber's crack. How has such a thing been permitted to happen? How has this celebrated, venerated disseminator of hearsay become eviscerated, ostracized by the company of which he was a pillar, the Bill Buckner of bulletins? The demise of Cronkite coincides with the rise of ratings and revenue recklessness. News executives in charge, unburdened by respectability, responsibility, and accountability. Andrew Hayward, Peter Lund, that vacant cranial cavity who produces Dan Rather's anemic effort, Jeffrey Faker. Am I teed off? Yes, I am. A precautionary note for the powers that be at CBS News. Forget postal worker syndrome. Concern yourselves with old anchorman syndrome and the possibility that the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather might soon become the CBS Evening Hostage with Walter Cronkite. Thank you and good night.
We're talking with Mike Wallace from CBS News. And the New York Times wrote in their lead editorial, what will it take to persuade the White House
To stop covering up. I don't know what it's going to persuade.
Well, here's my question. Why isn't 60 Minutes and why isn't CBS News on this story with both feet?
Look, I believe that when a man is president of the United States or a woman, I want to look up to that individual.
Well, back to the CBS News stuff, I mean...
I would like to just finish my little thought.
Maybe when you finish it, you can answer the question.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the Morning.
100% coyote urine?
That's a fact. Give it to Fred. What this does is it gets rid of all deer and pests on his ranch.
And relatives.
I think what he does now is he simply shoots them. So.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66 WFAM.
Hey, Bubba, Janet Reno's on the phone.
Tell her I'm not here.
You better take this. She's flipping out.
Tell her you can't find me.
Hey, Stretch, he says I can't find him, and you should set yourself on fire like those dudes at Waco. Whoa, she's jumpy. What's her deal?
She's trying to suck up to me to save her job.
You said suck.
But I won't take her phone calls. The more I ignore her, the more she tries to get on my good side. That's why she blew off the special prosecutor for that Indogate deal.
You said blue.
Believe me, Babies, but old Janet, sucking up and blowing off have entirely different meanings.
Yeah, not like blowing up and sucking.
Exactly.
I wish I knew how to treat chicks like dirt like you do.
Easy. Just read this book, The Code. Time-tested secrets for getting what you want from women without marrying them. It's like the rules for guys.
Who wrote it? O.J.?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he read it a few times. Check this chapter out. No tampons in the medicine cabinet. Protecting our borders.
Is that what you do?
Well, these rules really only apply to girlfriends, Beavis, not wives.
So, like I said, is that what you do?
Well, yeah.
And what do you do with Hillary?
As little as possible.
Imus in the morning.
And profound religious sensibilities, and I thought that was great. I'm actually looking forward to the Pope's next pronouncement, which is that the world is round. And, you know, I think that it's moving in that direction. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. And I think...
Don't make fun of the Pope. Your radio sounds funny in the morning. You're listening to Imus in the morning.
On HBO, Sunday night, How Do You Spell God, which is a special based on a book that Father Tom and Rabbi Mark Gelman wrote together, right at the Real Sex on HBO.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
The best baseball team wins the pennant. The best movies get...
In the morning, 2020 Sports with Mark Breen.
Robinson by midcourt, feeds ahead, caught by Googs, and mid stride down the lane. Running jump shot, good! Googly, oogly, 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 baby! Oh, what a play by Tom Gugliotta!
The Sacramento Kings win on the road. Good morning. Mike Breen with sports. Kevin Harlan the call on the T-Wolves radio network. Sacramento winning in Minnesota 96-89, one of 4 road wins last night in the NBA. Also winning on the road, the Miami Heat. They beat the Knicks at Madison Square Garden 99-75. Heat have now won 8 in a row. And Miami backup center Isaac Austin talked after the game with NBA reporter John Minko.
Let's talk a little bit about what you guys did offensively. You mentioned the outside shooters. It seemed to me anyway that offensively, when the Knicks would double you guys down on the block, you were able to rotate the basketball and find the open man for the spot-up shooters, and obviously they were able to drain it.
That's right.
He'd have won 8 in a row. What the
hell was he talking about?
Chicago Bulls.
What he said.
They won again. Bulls beat the Bucks in Milwaukee as Jordan had 40. Portland lost at home in overtime to the Indiana Pacers. Boston losing in Atlanta 105-95. And Seattle losing in L.A. to the Lakers 110-106. NHL, New Jersey Devils with a win 2-0 over Florida. Impressive victory for the team coached by Jacques Lemaire. And finally, college football, it looks as though Lou Holtz may have coached his last game at Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish will not be invited to one of the major bowls and have rejected invitations to play on the Copper and Independence Bowl. If that's the case, Holtz's final game may be that loss to Southern Cal. And that's sports. I'm Mike Breen.
Don Crickey has been here all morning, and he'll be coming up in just a little bit. Oh, man. How come whenever you call the wrong number, it's never busy?
I don't know. That's a good one. That's crazy. Why do kamikaze pilots wear helmets? I mean,
why?
Yeah,
why?
They ain't coming to a happy ending, buddy. I don't know. I love this neighborhood, though, Chuck, you know?
What's the deal?
Well, the streets are all so festively decorated. Now, the big crack festival's coming up soon here in this area.
Your radio sounds funny in the morning. You're listening to Imus in the morning.
Now, I was coming in this morning. There was some cops checking a trunk there. I don't know what was in there. It looked like a body to me, though.
It easily could be.
NYPD guys. One of them said, well, listen, anybody caught sleeping in someone else's trunk deserves to be shot.
It's a rough neighborhood. Imus in the morning.
Yellow.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Oh, here comes Fatty with a sack of shit. Here comes Fatty with a sack of shit. Here comes Fatty with a sack of shit. And all them stinking reindeer. Well, I believe in Santa Claus. Yeah, I believe that he's a and though he comes but once a year, it's enough to make me sick. Him and his Christmas spirit are really a lot of bunk. I'll have to bust my ass for another year just to pay for all this junk. Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of and all them stinking reindeer. Well, I believe in Santa, though he's got me in a mess. 'Cause I'm over the limit on my master charging my Visa and American Express. Well, I'm sweating and grieving about this money mess I'm in. He'll be up there sitting on his big fat ass until Christmas comes again. Oh, here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of and all them stinking reindeer. Oh, here comes Fatty with his ho-ho-hos. And there my money all goes. Like to punch him in his big red nose, and he wish he never came here. Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of and all them stinking reindeer.
Here's to all you mothers and fathers, grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles, anyone who's ever been pushed and shoved, kicked and beaten, scratched and clawed doing your last bit of Christmas shopping. Here's to everyone who's ever been sucked in by those crummy TV commercials that tell you if you don't spend $500 on your kids, you're a cheap slob. Here's to all those ruptured bank accounts and battered credit cards. You know it happens every time that fat little bastard in the red suit shows up. Here's to all of you. This is your song, so come on and let's get into the spirit.
Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of Here comes Fatty with a sack of and all them stinking reindeer.
Tacky and loud, our jukebox don't play no sad song. So don't come in here and cry in your beer, 'cause we don't care about who done who wrong. We got a $5 fine for whining. We'll tell you before you come in. If it ain't on your mind to have a good time, y'all come back, see us again. We got a $5 fine for whining.
We're talking with Barbara Walters, who, as I said, our special is preceded by 2020. When you interviewed President Clinton, did you think the president was truthful with you in that interview?
If you can find something that he hasn't been asked to death, he's truthful.
When you asked him about the McDougalls and
Then he was not truthful. He gave a fundraiser for me. I only knew him slightly or something. Well, that's not true at all. I mean, they spent hours and hours and hours together.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
I'm gushing over Barbara Walters. I mean, I like her. What do you want me to do?
Stupid 10 fascinating people list.
Well,
Tom Cruise and Rosie O'Donnell. Give me a break.
It's a television program. What are you supposed to do? You're going to come up with 10 people? You pick those 10.
Who's the 10th? Pauly Shore?
What? We don't know.
How about the guy that shot Tupac or something?
Well,
Paula Jones. Let's be creative here.
In the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAL.
Well, Sam, how was the troll?
And now, Imus in the morning 2020 sports with Mark Green.
Gives the ball to Brandon. Down the left side, Mills to the bat. Just stuffed it home with two hands. Cleveland embarrasses Orlando. Good morning, Mike Breen with sports. Joe Tate, voice of the Cavs, with the call. Last night in Orlando, the Magic scored 57 points for the entire game, tying an NBA record for fewest points. Cavaliers scored only 84, and they still won by 27. Joel Wilkins, he led the Magic with 10 points. The leading scorer had only 10. Wilkins was asked if he has harsh feelings for the Cavs after the way the Cavaliers humiliated them.
Oh, yeah, I'm hoping they lose in every game. You know, there's no question about that.
Yeah. Mike Vitello's still working his wonders in Cleveland. The Knicks won, beat the New Jersey Nets 109-102 at the Meadowlands. Knicks bad one night, strong the next. Charlie Ward was asked if they'll ever win 2 in a row.
You never know.
Former Heisman winner with a very candid answer for the Knicks, who will try it again on Friday in Miami. Utah Jazz, a 12-game win streak. Jazz topped the LA Lakers 101-75 in Salt Lake City. Carl the Mailman Malone raised some eyebrows when he said they can keep winning if they remain confident and cut back on the marijuana.
As long as we believe in ourselves and
And don't get too high.
The mailman said not everyone on the team was smoking weed, but there have been several pot parties while the team was on a recent road trip.
You, Jim, you're just beyond stupid.
Good game in Vancouver. Grizzlies lost by 47.
Services from Rush Limbaugh, brought to you today by the latest Vermont teddy bear, just in time for the holiday season. The Bubba Bear comes with a cheeseburger and easy drop trousers. Its furry little knees knock when you kiss it. Time to go to the phones. We are honored to take this call. Bob from Kansas. Hello, Senator Dole. Welcome to the program.
Well, dittos from the Sunflower State, Rush. Bob Dole's happy to be here with you. Bob Dole's got a lot of free time on his hands now.
What have you been doing with yourself, sir?
Well, not a hell of a lot. Puttering around. Built a birdhouse the other day. Fell out of the tree doing it, though. I didn't get hurt, thankfully. Liddy says should have built it in the shop in the basement, then taken it outside, but...
To what do we owe the honor of your phone call?
Well, Bob Dole already told you. He's got nothing to do. Election's over. He blew his wad. Got a lot of free time on his hands.
You have no particular issue you'd like to address? Some salient point to make? Intolerable political situation to discuss?
No.
Sir, may I ask, were you surprised by President Clinton's re-election?
Well, yeah. There was some statistic to the effect that in years when Baltimore won the World Series, the Republican nominee got in the White House.
That's the Yankees.
Yeah, well, whatever. Now the only way Bob Dole's getting in there is if he's got a contribution for the Democratic Party.
How true. So, what now?
Well, thought about trying to get another 4. Bob Dole's very encouraged by that Mama Teresa, you know. Girl's got some stamina. Can't keep her down. Shows what a low-fat diet can do for you, doesn't it?
Indeed.
But Bob Dole knows it's over, Rush. Fat lady's done the medley already. Time to move on.
Well, Senator, I don't want to keep you. It's been an honor having you with us.
Oh, Bob Dole doesn't have to go. He's got time to chat, whatever.
Gee, I'd love to, but I gotta go to the break now.
It's okay. Bob Dole can hang on.
Sorry, Senator. We must have a bad connection. I'll have Mr. Nerdling try to get back a little later. Thanks for calling, Senator. Take care. Senator Bob Dole, folks, calling from Kansas.
You know, Bob Dole could come down to the studio there. Get your coffee for you, whatever.
Okay, Senator, well, I've got to go to this commercial now,
okay.
so...
Don't mind waiting. Maybe we can...
Oh, look at that. I cut him off by mistake. Well, we'll have to try and get him back a little later.
Nope, still here, Rush. It's a good try, though.
Coming up, Santa Clinton, pardons for Christmas. More after this.
Still here, Rush.
There's Rush to sing now.
I'm dreaming of a right Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where no liberals hearkened, no Negroes darkened, and feminists freeze out in the snow. Ho, ho, ho. I'm dreaming of a right Christmas, one that is free from Hebrew blight. Keep those gays and fairies from sight, my friends. May all left-wing Christmases be right. I'm dreaming of a right Christmas, just like the ones that ought to be, where endangered species mean less than feces, and bubbas hung upon my tree with Hillary. Yes, my friends, I'm dreaming of a right Christmas, with every riot I incite. Be conservative and reactionary tonight. Make sure all your neighborhoods stay white. And may all left-wing Christmases be right. Mega Diddle! To you.
He rolls like Michael Jackson, ba la 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 la. Handsome pelvic thrusting action, ba la 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 la. Don we now our leather jackets, ba la 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 la. If that's crowbar up and whack, it's ba la 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 la. I'm a in the morning.
How many times? Of America's media organ by the Dean of Electronic Journalists, Walter Cronkite.
Return with me now to a rapidly receding date of some 15 years ago, 1981, and the retirement from the anchor desk of fabled, legendary master telecaster Walter Cronkite, and the beginning of a transition of the much-beloved figure from anchorman to pariah man. How is one able to tell when it is indeed over, when one is so irretrievably washed up that no amount of rehabilitation or heroic life-saving measures will help? When one is reduced to appearing on NBC's Dateline show to sob on the empty suit of Stone Phillips, that's when. And yet, that is precisely where I was, spilling my guts to a blow-dried rookie who looks to be better suited to a Calvin Klein underwear ad on an upstart news magazine program whose biggest scoop was admitting it loaded a pickup truck fuel tank hazard story through the clever means of dynamiting the trucks. But it's not NBC that troubles me so deeply this evening. No, it is my own alma mater, CBS, a company that stands on my broad shoulders and yet has chosen to kick me in my bulbous butt. Speaking of that, if I may, did you happen to see the photograph of President and First Lady Clinton in the Newsweekly Time magazine clad in shorts?
Yeah.
You tell me we're not saving the manatees. Jesus. But I digress.
Yes, you do.
A headline regarding what has befallen me, as it might appear in the media publication Variety. Web weasels want Walter wasted.
Yeah.
Yes, as incomprehensible as it sounds, Walter Cronkite, a legend, a giant, has become anathema at CBS, disinvited from parties, shunned at news division functions, and gazed upon in the newsroom itself like the slightly dotty elderly uncle who's just wandered in with an unidentified clinging object in his mustache and his fly again. Am I hurt? Indeed I am. As they might ask on Jeopardy, these two names are first to leap to mind when one mentions CBS News. The answer, Alex, who are Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite? No, the names that first come to mind are not those of Phil Jones and Rita Braver, two names that first leap to mind when the conversation turns to which network news correspondents have their noses buried deepest in the Clinton administration's plumber's crack. How has such a thing been permitted to happen? How has this celebrated, venerated disseminator of hearsay become eviscerated, ostracized by the company of which he was a pillar, the Bill Buckner of bulletins? The demise of Cronkite coincides with the rise of ratings and revenue recklessness. News executives in charge, unburdened by respectability, responsibility, and accountability. Andrew Hayward, Peter Lund, that vacant cranial cavity who produces Dan Rather's anemic effort, Jeffrey Fager. Am I teed off? Yes, I am. A precautionary note for the powers that be at CBS News. Forget postal worker syndrome. Concern yourselves with old anchorman syndrome and the possibility that the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather might soon become the CBS Evening Hostage with Walter Cronkite. Thank you and good night.
Well, here now, filling in for Sidney Biddle Barrows. Yes? And answering the very questions I was going to ask her is my brother, Fred Imus, from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
What would you say were men's top sexual turn-ons, Fred?
Oral sex?
Oral sex?
Yeah.
What would you say would be a big turn-off?
No oral sex.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
And Boomer said, well, I'm only 34, and people like Dan Marino, and he named a couple other quarterbacks who are still playing.
Yeah.
I didn't bother to point out to Boomer that he does not have Dan Marino's arm.
He doesn't have Bob Dole's arm, for crying out loud.
Oh, Jesus, God almighty.
Get out of business.
Come on, I mean, what the hell are you thinking about?
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
now, Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports with Mark Reed.
Heat could match their biggest lead of the game right here. And a shot up good. Three-pointer, Tim Hardaway. Get him out of here. What zone is he in, and how do you find it? Hey, Miami wins their 9th in a row. Good morning. Mike Breen with Sports, sponsored by AT&T, your true choice. Ted Davis with the call. Miami whoops Dallas 101-79. Tim Hardaway pours in 33 points. It is Coach Pat Riley raving about his point guard's physique.
I don't think anybody realizes just how strong he is, from his waist down.
And Ryle should know. Sees him in the locker room after every single game. Well, great performance from the Orlando Magic. They lose to the Cavaliers 84-57. That's right, 57 total points. Tied for the lowest point total ever in the NBA. Orlando coach Brian Hill was asked to evaluate his team's performance.
He sucked.
Hill a little evasive there after his team struggling offensively. The Knicks won. They beat the New Jersey Nets 109-102. Boston Celtics lost. Phoenix.
With Mark Breen. Do it, boy. Great Stoudemire. Christie. Kicks it to John Long. John Long, corner. Good! John Long hits a three from the corner.
Washington Bullets shut down in Toronto. Good morning. Mike Breen with Sports. Mike Inglis, the call. Bullets blow a 19-point lead and lose to the Raptors 82-80. The hero of the game, recently signed veteran John Long, who hasn't played in the league in a couple of years, but he still knows about how to beat a defense.
When they run at you, move the ball. You got to have good ball movement, and that's what we did. When they ran at Doug knew I was over in the corner, and he kicked it to me, and we'd be playing horse all the time in practice, so that was a horse shot.
We'd be happy for Mr. Long and the Toronto Raptors last night. Also winning last night, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. They beat the Clippers 114-96. Jordan and Scottie Pippen don't even play again in the fourth quarter, and they still win big. Bulls now 17-1. Seattle swamped Minnesota by 31. They had to finish the game without their coach.
But I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg, please, for your sympathy, I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me. Imus in the morning.
We're following for you in the Imus and Washington Network newsroom.
I'm David Brinkley, here to guide you through this little undertaking and deal with the news gnats with whom you're all familiar. Walter Cronkite.
Huh? You say the pot's right. What's that mean exactly?
Never mind, Walter. When it's your turn, we'll call on you.
Well, what's going to fall on me?
Also, Paul Harvey.
Now, there's a good idea. Call Arby's, Walter, like that roast beef or that barbecue sauce Roy makes.
Just butt out, Pops. Rush Limbaugh. And in our New York City bureau, John Donald Imus. Now, some news. Rush?
A gala event on the ellipse south of the White House, where a very hoarse President Clinton was joined by singers Patti LaBelle and Leanne Rimes, the young blonde country music sensation, for the annual lighting of the national Christmas tree. And an awkward moment when the President directed comments toward Miss Rimes, unaware that a microphone was open.
Hey, baby, you want to go out?
Hang on a second, baby. I'm going to hit on this kid over here. Hello there, Leanne. I sure like y'all singing. Say, how'd you like to yodel on my meat puppet? I'll make you my secretary of beef. Oops. Oh, man. I just pulled a David Brinkley, didn't I? I was just kidding, just kidding. She couldn't do no worse than Warren Christopher, though, could she? He never would yodel on my meat puppet. Although you'd think that was all he was doing, the way this Bosnia deal's turning out.
Meantime, United Nations Ambassador Madeleine Albright has emerged as the leading candidate for Secretary of State, which would make her the highest-ranking woman to serve in the government and to be of service to Mr. Clinton. Presidential spokesperson Mike McCurry.
There is a distinction to be drawn here in the interest of candor, which, of course, as always, remains the Clinton administration's primary objective. So while it can be said that Ms. Albright would be the highest-ranking woman to serve the president, she would not be the highest-ranking woman to service the president. You see, a distinction still held by certain individuals in state government back in Arkansas. I just hope that heads off any confusion.
President Clinton continues to operate under some duress. Strict doctor's orders to take it easy on his inflamed vocal cords, which have rendered him all but mute. A breath of fresh air, if ever there was one, in my opinion, since I don't think Mr. Clinton has anything to say that makes sense and has never had an original thought in his pea brain. Be that as it may, Mr. Clinton did meet with reporters long enough to very briefly discuss the course of his treatment.
Yeah, well, what I've been told is that if I really want to get over this, I should remain silent. and that if I cannot afford an attorney, then the court shall appoint one for me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The American Dairy Council says it has agreed with the White House recommendation and will drop plans to run an advertisement which would have featured Paula Corbin Jones seated in a mock-up of the Oval Office wearing a milk mustache, agreeing with presidential troubleshooter Bruce Lindsay that it could be the subject of misinterpretation and might unfairly influence United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas one way or the other.
33 minutes past the hour here in the imus182 program. Well, out in Las Vegas, Nevada, Charles, the...
I'll have a blue Christmas, 'cause I'm dead. Yeah, I'm having a blue Christmas, I'm dead. Took a fall in the John, now I look kinda drawn. Yeah, have a blue Christmas. Hey, Imus, king of rock and roll here, son.
Oh, hi, Elvis.
Suffering from that mental condition I heard you talking about last week.
Oh, SAD, that seasonal affective disorder?
No, man. BAD, brain activity deficit. Flatline, son.
Oh, yeah.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and ever since 77,
right,
king of rock and roll's been stuck up here in heaven.
Yeah.
Condoms all rolled on a nightstand with care, and hopes LaToya Jackson soon would be there. Or somebody, anybody, you know. Jesus. Hey, you don't think LaToya's ever done no illegal substances or nothing, do you?
Oh, no.
Got that Lincoln Tunnel hair going for and everything? I don't know what you think, but it doesn't look to me like it's going to be the most memorable Christmas around the Jackson Neverland compound. Michael in rehab and running around trying to disguise his penis. You know, he could put a gold chain and a wig on it and call it Al Sharpton, couldn't he? And then you got LaToya oozing all over the place, ready to say anything about anybody if the check's big enough.
Right.
You know, stuff like, Michael was in the sack with the Vienna Boys Choir showing 5 sopranos how to hit an E flat on his pink kazoo. That'll be $50,000, thank you. Hey, I don't guess the thing would be pink, though, would it?
No.
Damn thing might look like a MC Escher print or something. Over that there skin condition he's got.
Yeah.
You know, something's weird with it, since that there kid he diddled says he can identify the thing.
Right.
Anyway, reminds me of when me and old Priscilla, God bless her, used to play Candy Cane. Yeah, every Christmas she'd dress up like an elf, and I'd put on this white beard deal.
Right.
And then I'd sit up in the mantel there, and she'd come over and candy stripe little Elvis.
Oh, shut up.
While I'd sing, all I want for Christmas is a barber pole. Talk about your warm holiday memory, son.
That'll be fine.
Anyway, did you see the entire Jackson outfit stand out in front of their mansion on TV last week?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but the last time I saw a family like that, Gene Goodall was feeding them lettuce. You know what I mean? If they hadn't had 5 kids that could pick a guitar and halfway carry a tune, the only way you'd ever see them in front of a mansion is if they had leaf blowers and garden weasels. Hey, before I go, I just remembered something. You fired that new chick yet? Your secretary or whatever?
No.
What's she been working for you now? About an hour and 45 minutes? Hey, great timing, Hoss. I know she's going to make you happy because you hired her just in time to fire her for the holidays. And from one heartless bastard psychopath to another, as you're well aware, it just don't get no better than that.
No.
Well, here's a little tune to get out here on. A seasonally correct ode to the gloved one. Goes like this here. I saw Michael sucking Santa's underneath the mistletoe last night. Old Santa shot his... Christmas. I ain't got a dime. Blues for Christmas. I ain't got a dime. I'm sitting here wasted, with my head hung down. Santa Claus, send my baby back. I may not have no money, but she be rich in this. I can be. Blues for Christmas.
attitude, John Lee. It's 10 till the hour now.
Well, I saw Mommy in her nightgown. She was jumping all around, twisting with old Santa Claus. The record kept a playing, and Mommy kept a saying, "Oh, Santa wasn't built for the cause." His tummy kept a shaking, and Mommy kept a making jokes about the look in his eye. I'll make a little bet, I'll never forget Mommy twisting with Santa that night. Imus in the morning.
Visual. Andy?
Do you have one of those old granddads who hangs around the house grousing about everything, muttering to himself about how this or that isn't like it was back when, and bitching constantly about how he's just so much excess baggage now that nobody loves him anymore, and how he'd just be better off dead? We do. Walter Cronkite. Have you heard the things he's been saying? He sounds to me as though he's getting ready to understudy Rodney Dangerfield, for crying out loud. Wally, who's one of my oldest and dearest friends, went on NBC's Dateline program the other night, and to hear him tell it, he's become America's most disinvited house guest since Cato Kalin. He said that ever since he turned over the CBS Evening News anchor chair to Dan Rather, CBS has treated him pretty much as if he had leprosy. Said nobody wants him around here anymore. Doesn't get to go to any of our parties. People in the newsroom roll their eyes like, oh, it's him again, whenever Wally shuffles in. Well, here's what's wrong, I think. It's not leprosy, it's worse. Leprosy you can cure. Wally is forever, or thinks he is, which is precisely the problem. He's 80 years old, a hero at CBS, and won't let it rest there. When I'm 80, I'm out of here. I'm not going to try to string this thing along to the point that I'm driving people to distraction, hovering over everything and everybody, till my old gray head slowly falls forward into my sweet potatoes. So here's our dilemma at CBS. How do we get Cronkite to take the hint? Look for a minute at these possible methods I've gathered on my desk here to get Walter away. Cronkouts, I call them. Now, this is a ticket to a dog track at Hialeah. Admit one. And here's an accompanying note to pin to his old jacket he stole from NASA. See what it says here? I used to be Dan Rather. Ouch. This is a ticket, one way, for the Barnacle bus. You know, the one columnist Mike Barnacle is always loading up with humanity's driftwood to drive over a cliff. Don't you often find yourself wishing that Mike were driving the damn thing? I do. Here's the inevitable ticket for an Everglades tour via Value Jet. Alligator viewing from an angle of 60 degrees. You'll love it, but look fast. And of course, the very best way to finesse Walter, I think, absolutely guaranteeing that he'll never be heard from again, this little beauty right here, a contract for his very own program on MSNBC. Wally, we all love you, but we took a little poll around the newsroom, and it's unanimous. Time to stop the belly aching. Put on your little captain's hat, clamp that goofy pipe between your teeth, and sail that silly sloop of yours into the path of a supertanker. Here's a new policy memo to Cronkite from CBS News Division Chief Andrew Hayward. Dear Walter, it says, shut up. We've got a $5 fine for whining. Sing it, son.
A fun-loving crowd, tacky and loud. Our jukebox don't play no sad song. So don't come in here and cry in your beer, 'cause we don't care about who done who wrong. We got a $5 fine for whining. We'll tell you before you come in. If it ain't on your mind to have a good time, y'all come back, see us again. We got a $5 fine for whining. As I got on a city bus and found a vacant seat, I thought I saw my future bride walking up the street. I shouted to the driver, hey conductor, you must slow down. I think I see her, please let me off the bus. Nadine, honey, is that you? Oh, Nadine, honey, is that you? Seems like every time I see you, darling, you got something else to do. Imus in the morning.
I was talking to my daughter, Nadine, yesterday.
Yeah.
She lives up on the Canadian border. Wow. Nadine and old Dave, they got a band or something. They're singing and playing. I don't know what they're doing.
She can't get far enough away.
This is WFAN in New York. We are an Infinity Broadcasting Station, and read by Larry Kent. By sometime around 330 BC, Alexander the Great had conquered much of the known world, including what we now call the Middle East. Like Napoleon and Hitler, Alexander was short and very much distrusted cats, Jews, and newspapers. Also, like Napoleon and Hitler, Alexander did not get to have much fun in life. Soon after his victories, he stepped on a rainbow and spent a great deal of downtime hopping around hell on a pogo stick, waiting to go to Jesus, who, of course, would not be born for another 300 years. But Alexander left 4 Greek generals in charge when he flipped off the screen, and one of them, Antiochus, proceeded to get up the colorful biblical sleeves of the Hebrews rather severely. Antiochus's zealous efforts to make the local populace worship numerous heathen gods became a thorn in the sides of the sons of Abraham, and eventually a thorn in the crown of a young Jewish troublemaker named Jesus Christ. Trouble indeed had been brewing for quite some time before Antiochus came up with the brilliant idea of creating the world's first traveling tent revival show, schlepping mobile altars around to the local town. Thias, out on a day pass from the Shalom retirement village, saw a Jew sacrificing a pig on one of the heathen altars, then watched him sit there dining placidly on pork tartare. Mattathias, upon observing this rather repellent spectacle, became highly agitato, pulled a large gleaming sword from his flowing mental hospital bathrobe and skewered the poor fellow, who later turned out to be merely a reformed Jewish businessman from San Diego. Thus, the true inception of the Hanukkah story involves one Jew slaying another, the latter not only being unfamiliar with Jacob's ladder, but definitely never having seen the movie Babe. From there, things got progressively out of touch with the mothership. Mattathias and his 5 sons, led by Judah the Maccabee, a.k.a. the Hammer, no relation to the former rap star, moved out where the buses don't run. Then, in a series of history's first guerrilla raids, they began to slice up the oppressive Hellenistic Syrian government like a pastrami at Katz's Deli. By 165 B.C., Judah Maccabee and the boys, though greatly outnumbered, had triumphed over Antiochus and were busily at work sweeping the pork rinds, lotto tickets, and Scientology leaflets out of the temple. Antiochus, by this time, was in hell, locked in an almost piston-like tandem with Alexander the Great. Every time Alexander began the down cycle on the pogo stick, a precocious Jewish child would hit Antiochus on the head with a small plastic hammer. The Old Testament tells us that the Lord created the heavens and all the earth in 6 days. There are those of us, of course, who think he might have taken just a little more time. That being as it may, the ancient Hebrews, having already gone through a myriad of tedious experiences, were not eager to go against God's sometimes rather overbearing demands. They knew when the fighting is over, whether you've won or lost, it's time for a little prayer huddle. And they remembered the Lord's commandment to Moses upon Mount Sinai: take 2 tablets and go to bed. And thus it was that, quite wisely, instead of coveting their neighbor's ass or dancing the night away at the electric matzo ball in Jerusalem, they set about dedicating the temple for prayer. Hither and thither ran the Israelites in search of oil with which to consecrate the temple by lighting the eternal light. Unfortunately, the chosen people, following the Lord's wisdom from on high, had chosen to fight and die to live on the one plot of land in the entire Middle East that was totally devoid of oil. And these were the days before OPEC and the big American oil companies had generously made oil available to everyone at reasonable prices. They searched the whole damn temple, and all they could find was one little cruse of oil. That was only enough to last for one night. And if you've ever been in an Orthodox synagogue, you know that some prayers take longer than that. Thus it was that a rather Semitic-looking Sancho Panza was dispatched on a donkey in search of oil that wouldn't be readily available there for another 2,000 years. To paraphrase Leonard Cohen, he was just some Joseph looking for an Exxon station. History records that the trip took 8 days, and when Sancho Panza returned with the donkey and the oil,
his own ass fell off. But by that time, lo and behold, a miracle had occurred. Instead of lasting for one night, the little cruise of oil had burned for 8 days and 8 nights. By the pale light of the 20th century, this may not seem like much of a miracle. But the fact is, during this period of biblical history, miracles were in very short supply. Indeed, between the time when Moses parted the Red Sea and the time when Jesus turned the water into wine, about the only miracle worth noting was how the people managed without fax machines. Today in America, of course, Hanukkah and Christmas seem to have merged together like two large corporations into a commercialized one-eyed giant targeted mainly at children, who are the only ones who still may have a ghost of a chance of understanding their true meanings anyway. Children have a way of grasping things other than presents sometimes, and some of the things they grasp are the things we have forgotten. That is why, given that Santa Claus may have killed Jesus Christ, and given that American Jews, ever uncomfortable with who they are, seem to be rapidly turning into a collective Robert Shapiro of the soul, the Hanukkah lights somehow continue to shine. The Germans were able to kill 6 million, but were not able to extinguish the festival of lights in Anne Frank's eyes. Deep and dark and bright reflections still dance across the countenance of every child who lights a candle. In the words of Hungarian freedom fighter Hanna Senish, another child who died defending the dream, blessed is the match that kindles the flame.
In the wind, though candles glowing, remind you that today you are a child. The road ahead, forever rolling, and anything worth crying can be smiled. So ride, ride 'em, you boy, ride 'em all around the old corral. I'm with you, boy. If I got to ride 6 million miles,
Hanukkah story written by Kinky Friedman and read by my friend Larry Kinney. It is 17 minutes after the hour.
I'm not dead. I'm alive. Patrol.
Now, people, Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports with Mark Freed. Iverson stripped by Harper. He finds Oliver Miller. Oliver driving, slamming. Count it. Dallas goes up. Exciting night in Dallas, Texas. Good morning. Mike Breenwood Sports, sponsored by Burlington Coat Factory. Ted Davis the call on the Mavs radio network. Dallas beating Philadelphia 106-102. Derek Coleman of the Sixers took the loss hard.
It's another ball game. You know, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose.
Who says today's modern athlete doesn't care?
Sure, there's motivation.
Also last night, Bulls now 17-1. They beat Bill Fitch's LA Clippers by 18 in Chicago. Portland wins in Denver. Washington Bullets lose in Toronto to the Raptors. Thursday night football, Colts whack the Eagles 37-10. Earl Morrow with a pair of TD passes. Colts now 8-6, same as the Eagles.
I'm listening to you.
The big
Earl
game
Morrow.
is on Sunday.
I heard that, you idiot.
Just want to make sure you're paying attention.
What was the matter with what's the deal with the Eagles? What was that all about?
Ty Detmer throwing 3 touchdown passes. He's coming back down to earth.
Well,
there's your answer. New England Patriots, they host the New York Jets. Patriots win this Sunday, and they make the playoffs. But Jets coach Rich Kotite is confident in his team's chances.
Hopefully, this Sunday we can do it.
There's a real motivator. Jets received a boost yesterday, speaking of motivation, when owner Leon Hess made an appearance at practice. Mr. Hess told the team they better win their last 3 games.
I'm just one of those fans who've been disappointed. I'm entitled to some enjoyment out of this team, and that means winning.
Let's
hope he can motivate them on Sunday up in Foxborough. Hockey's best team won again last night, Florida.
Give him all one of those little trucks that he...
That'll do it. Hadn't tried it. Florida beating the New York Great week on the Fan.
Sports Radio 66, The Fan, WFAN.
Today on The Fan, it's Sports Talk with Richard.
FAN, the flagship station for New York Knicks basketball.
Sports Radio 66, The Fan, WFAN, New York.
Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Nice to have you with us on a Saturday morning in New York. Good to have you aboard. 718-937-6666, two-way Sports Talk telephone number. As we do a radio program for you into St. John's pregame against Villanova. That at Madison Square Garden, and that a little bit later on. Mike Hayes and, of course, Sweeney Murdy across the way as we talk.
O'Connor with the lotto numbers over from the Archdiocese. Good morning, Cardinal O'Connor.
Good morning, God bless. Now, that picture on the back of your book, Mr. Lamar.
What about it?
How soon after you opened the mail bomb did they take that, you fiendish-looking ghoul, you?
That will be fine.
You getting nervous, fella?
About what?
Worried that in a big night you might pull a Nelson Rockefeller, be Jesus.
Shut up.
We can hope. In the meantime, you can pull this, you old sleazebag, you.
That will be
The winning numbers in the New York State Lottery is as follows. The daily number, 081. Well, I'm Mr. Lamar. Cindy Crawford and Richard Gere getting divorced.
Yeah.
Because he's stuffing gerbils God knows where.
That will be fine.
Lisa Marie and Michael Jackson getting divorced.
Yeah.
Because her kids won't give it up.
Fine.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Lamar. When Deirdre leaves you, they won't call it divorce. They'll call it granny dumping, you old buzzard.
Shut up, you know.
Here comes the groom, oldest man in the room. The bride soon will learn. Bliss is I missing an horn. Thanks be to God. The daily number. The win for number.
Well, what?
9977.
Okay.
You realize, Mr. Marn, masturbation is already part of the curriculum in New York and other urban schools around the country.
I didn't know that.
Well, it is, BB Brain. Let me just warn you, wearing little dirtbags attending Chicken Chopping 101 in the public schools, Mr. Marn. Make sure you sit in the last row.
Now, that'll be fine.
It might not be Clairol conditioner driven from your stupid greasy heads.
That will be fine. We just don't need that.
Listen to this lineup, Mr. Lamar.
Cardinal O'Connor. I mean, we just have to stop now.
Listen to this lineup, Mr. Lamar. Katzenberg, Spielberg, and Geffen.
Here we go.
Diller, Ovitz, and Eisner. Diamond cutters? Certified public accountants? I don't think so, Mr. Marn. Holiday movie moguls will make you sick, be Jesus.
That will be fine.
Apologies to Jesse Jackson. It's not Hollywood anymore. It's Hollywood, be Jesus. The Archdiocese have obtained a list, Mr. Marn.
Right.
Here are some of the features we can look forward to. Dial M for Moisey. The sound of money. 3 men in a bagel, be Jesus. Or if Geffen and Diller have their way, 3 men in a gerbil.
That will be fine.
5 easy shekels. Angels with dirty foreskins. From here to Great Neck.
That will be fine.
The good, the bad, the uncircumcised. The Wizard of Israel.
That will be fine.
It's a wonderful egg roll. And the like, Mr. Mark.
That will be fine.
Give me a nice parish out in Idaho somewhere. The Big Ten number says as follows. 3, 14, 16, 18, 13, 27, 32, 35, 36, 39, 41, 43, 46, 52, 58, 67, 71, 78, 79, 80.
John Cardinal O'Connor here in the Irish Wine Program.
They died with their yarmulkes on.
That will be fine.
Which is them along and why?
All right, which is them along and why?
Which is them along and why? A, Senator Chris Dodd.
A, Senator Chris Dodd.
B, author and journalist Annie Quinlan.
Author and journalist Anna Quinlan.
C, author and jackass Amos Lamar disease. Which is them along and why?
Well, I would say, Chris Dodd. I would say Senator Chris Dodd.
Yes, again, you smart.
Okay. I would say Cardinal O'Connor, I'm Mr. Warning.
Wrong, drool boy. Well, all 3 of these bleeding heart drunks have recently induced comas on many Amos listeners. The answer is C. The answer is E.
What is it? Drunk.
Senator Chris Dodd doesn't belong because unlike the other 2, Senator Dodd doesn't wear panties, be Jesus. The Wild Wild West Bank. Mighty Joe Yankowitz. Forrest Goldstein, be Jesus.
That's a big one.
It's all cold down along the beach.
Hey, man! Hey, man! You guys know what time of year it is? What time? What? What? Oh, Christmas time. You guys all been good and practicing real hard? Yeah? Clarence, you've been rehearsing real hard now. So Santa, bring you a new saxophone, right? Everybody out there been good or what? Oh, that's not many. Not many. You guys are in trouble out here. Yeah, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list, he's checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. You better be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. You better be good for goodness sake. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. 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 Santa Claus is
Imus in the morning.
Imus in the morning 2024 with Mark Green.
Jordan been fairly quiet scoring-wise, but there's Robin. Robin in the lane of Kukoc, and there's going to be a foul against Dennis Rodman as he knocked down Popeye Jones.
And a technical foul. Rodman's out of the game.
Chicago Bulls are falling apart. Good morning. Mike Braidwood Sports. Mike Inglis, voice of the Raptors with a call. As one NBA player once said, the ship be sinking. Chicago Bulls are in turmoil, suffered their second loss in as many nights. Raptors beat them in Toronto 97-89. Jordan and Rodman hit with key technical fouls, and the Bulls are now tired of Rodman. Listen to Scottie Pippen on Dennis Rodman.
Especially have to, really conduct himself a little bit better on the court. I mean, every time the whistle is blown, he's chasing the ball, he's doing something with it. I mean, it builds up frustration within his teammates, so you can imagine how the officials feel. I mean, they can't stand there and watch him every play.
Here it starts. Now listen to Phil Jackson and his take on the game.
The game really was taken out of our hands by the referees.
Now they're starting to blame the referees on their losses. Even guard Steve Kerr ripped Jordan for his ball hogging.
He's a jerk.
The fall is officially underway. Chicago Bulls' third loss of the season. Also losing last night, the LA Clippers lost to Cleveland.
Between you and my brother, I mean, there's not a brain between the two of you.
Everyone's afraid to go after the Bulls. Everyone but me.
Talk to you about God. Here now on the Imus Morning Program, Blind Mississippi White Boy Pig feeds the free. Got the blues for Christmas.
You ain't kidding, boy.
Felt like the Santa stole my baby blues.
Boy, you must be psychic.
Yeah.
Took my baby to see Santa down to the department store. I said I took my old lady to see the fat man, but we ain't gonna be doing that no more. Should've known I had a problem when she asked him if his belt buckle was made of mistletoe. Thought she was just in the Christmas spirit and full of all that holiday cheer. But when she sat down on his lap, she stuck her tongue in Santa Claus's ear and said, "Must be hard on you, Kris Kringle, only coming once a year. All alone up north with all them midgets, you must be about to go insane. Tell me, what's that in your pocket?" He said, "It ain't no candy cane." She said, "St. Nick, I think your sugar plum could use a little spice. You feel like getting naughty." He said, "Now wouldn't that be nice? I got the blues this Christmas, 'cause my woman's colder than the falling snow. Santa Claus done stole my baby. Well, he can have it, she ain't nothing but a ho-ho-ho."
Blind Mississippi White Boy Pig feeds the free. Santa stole my baby blues. That's fine, Blind.
Merry Christmas.
Get out.
Whiskey River, take my heart. Don't let her memory torture me. Well, it's Christmas time, everybody, but it's raining in my heart. Yes, it's Christmas time, everybody, but it's raining
up with Charles at 4 o'clock in the morning for 30 years.
Yep.
She gets up and packs your hideous little lunch.
Yes, she does.
Well, here's what Deidre told me. When you put your pants on in the morning, that huge belt buckle you wear, that big cowboy belt buckle, it rattles and makes noise and wakes me up.
She's got it figured out. If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
So I'm eating a carrot last night, and my wife says to me, honey, should you be biting on that? Won't you break your teeth? I said, what kind of teeth do you think I have?
Wooden teeth?
Jesus. I'm 54 years old, not 94.
Imus in the morning.
I don't know.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
I have the Wave MSNBC hat on it.
Her mouth doesn't open.
Oh, come on, Fred.
Jesus, God. You know what her name is?
Now, what is her name, Fred?
Cokie.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
From NBC Sports, Don Cricky. Good morning, Don.
What I'm calling about, though, Imus, at this season is something to help all the wonderful Imus in the morning listeners around America. With the solicitors that come to the door so much.
Sure.
Now, you hear that doorbell ring and you peek out the little peephole. You don't open the door.
No, of course not.
You see it's a solicitor selling a household product or religion or the end of the world or whatever.
Sure.
So you just keep the door closed, let it ring a second time, then you say, yes, I'm home. I'm always home. Since I was fired down at the post office. I'll be right there, but I have to get something first.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
NFL game. Imus in the morning, 2024 with Mark Reed.
Here's Foley with the ball. On third down, guns right side, and it's picked off. Tyrell racing up the near sideline. He's got the 10, he's got the 5, he's got the touchdown. Patriots make the playoffs. Good morning, Mike Greenwood Sports. Paul Olden the call. While the Jets were losing their 13th game of the year, New England Patriots clinching a playoff spot, moving back into first in the AFC East. 34-10 victory over the Jets in Foxborough. Bill Parcells likened his team to fighters.
We talked a lot early in the season about whether they wanted to be club fighters, whether they wanted to be champs. And there's a big difference. And they're kind of showing me that they at least want to try to fight for the title.
There's a motivator. What's motivated you after a lung collapse, correct?
Well, I'll tell you, he can get you ready for anything. At least, my own personal experience with the coach. I like him. He's got a big attitude, but
And a big butt.
remember we tried to book Bill Parcells once, and it was like trying to book the president. Finally, I just said, the hell with it. Who needs that? Some fat coach.
Come on. Get over yourself.
You're a coach of a football team. Get over it. That's an unbelievable attitude he has.
I remember.
Anyway.
Never would like him.
Well, of course I like him.
As for the Jets, Victor Green had this to say.
I think we get the lowest we can get right now.
Well, no, you're not.
We got 2 more games to do.
games.
Stand by, Vic. Dallas Cowboys beat the Arizona Cardinals 10-6. A sigh of relief for wide receiver Michael Irvin.
This was a tough game. And guys, let me tell y'all the truth. This was a tough week. Just a tough week. It's all about it's a tough week for me. It's all about a lot of things. A lot of memories.
Memories of cocaine parties with strippers, no doubt, for Michael
Yeah.
Irvin. My man. Jimmy Johnson has memories of the playoffs.
Get out.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Imus in the morning.
Well, if you've ever tried to finance of the day, I'm in Washington's senior political analyst, the late Richard M. Nixon.
Indeed. Thank you. And I hope you're happy. Imus in the morning. Dick Nixon with a little early Xmas present to himself, J.D. As you can see, I've got on my Auto Body Express turquoise buffalo Texas denim jacket. Over my desert plaid flannel shirt. Over my black polo, under which is my Drifting Smoke Auto Body Express t-shirt. And I'd just like to make one observation.
And that would be?
I'm suffocating. Jesus. Beautiful stuff, though, J.D. Just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't, however, recommend taking a swig from the White Buffalo Cologne whiskey bottle and then splashing on hot seltzer, as I did this morning during a moment of confusion. I looked in the mirror and thought O.J. had been there. Untidy and stung like hell. Here, you want a turquoise buffalo tortilla? No. Fantastic. Little margarita? No. Memories of crawling on the floor. Shut up. Just kidding. Anyway, dude, let's get to some headline matters. And the most obvious, the uppermost issue, in my view, huge news late last week, as you know. And no surprise, really, a very familiar face, very familiar name. And, of course, you know exactly to whom I refer. Madeleine Albright. Woody Allen. Did you see that? His kids hate him. The 60-year-old twerp is still fighting that ghastly, ghost-like woman, Mia Farrow, for custody of the children. Yeah. And a judge said last week that the one kid, Satchel, great name, huh? What were they going to name the next one? Glove compartment? Anyway, the judge cites a psychiatrist's report that says Satchel hates, fears, and dreads his father and suffers nightmares and stomach aches whenever he has to see him. Satchel, we all do. For crying out loud, I want an order of protection from him. What an affected, tedious jerk. Oh, and speaking of that, issue 2, Dono, the individual the entire nation should get an order of protection from, Bill Clinton, assembling his second-term team. Oh, what a fine group. Jesus, we go from Warren Christopher, a guy whose diplomacy was based on how well his pocket puff coordinated with his tie, to Madeleine Lock Up the Honor Bar Albright as Secretary of State. Goodbye, Bosnia. And then William, he's got jungle fever, Cohen as Secretary of Defense. And isn't that a name you've always felt was synonymous with the Pentagon? William Cohen. The same William Cohen, Mr. Republican, who voted to recommend my impeachment in '74. Of course, the pantload wants him. He adds a layer of insulation between himself and his own impeachment. And gives him the first Republican cabinet member ever to be in line to become the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. I mean, if Bill Cohen's a Republican, I'm a money laundering Buddhist. Besides, he's actually more suited to be over at state, since he's already got one of those United Nations marriages, if you know what I'm saying. Shut up. Well, I've shot my time, JD, so let me just say that I saw you at the Y in your very fine appearance with Jeff Greenfield. You know, it struck me that this is not the first time John Donald Imus ever agreed to meet a soft, doughy, bespectacled guy at a Y, huh? Ouch. Well, gotta go. My menorah's on fire. So that's it. Your view from your dick today. Dick Nixon, who Bill Cohen tried to squeeze when this dick was the president of the United States.
Hey, Beavis, did you read that article in Newsday by Murray Kempton?
Oh, yeah, right after I read that editorial from William Sapphire in the New York Times. What are you, nuts?
Well, I was an Oxford scholar, and even I couldn't make head or tail out of it. Take a look at this.
Who's that old dude in the picture? Kempton or Imus?
The old dude in the cartoon that looks like Rose Kennedy is Imus. The old dude in the photo that looks like Orville Rittenbacher is Kempton.
Who is this Kempton dude anyway?
Oh, he's a brilliant writer.
If he's so brilliant, how come he didn't spell Bernie's name right?
Well, I didn't say he got the facts straight. I said he writes eloquently.
How do you know if you can't understand what he wrote?
Well, Imus said so. And he's been reading a lot longer than I have. You should see his library. Amazing. All the classics, first edition, signed copies, rare collector's items. Must be worth a fortune. You know the Dead Sea Scrolls?
He's got the originals?
No, he read them when they were in galleys.
Doesn't he read the Bible a lot, too?
Read it. He's in it.
I am the God of Hellfire, and I bring you Imus in the morning.
All right, we'll talk to Rock Newman coming up.